font size or whatever, you don't have to keep going, okay, well now let's try 12 pixels and then save and go back a different direction. Now let's try 14 pixels. You can just change it right straight in here and you can see it stabilize. Makes it a lot easier. For this one, if you want to just add a bump over, you can either add some margins to the sky, or you can do it all of these and drop it in there. And then just send that over as much on the side. And then that way it'll push all of them over on the same time.
Or visual.
Yeah, I think this is doing it.
Yeah, around. And that would be considered like a container.
Yeah, at least like one repetition. We didn't know what to start with.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a background or foundation. Now it's going to be
So if you just target section, that's going to update everything that is a section, like in a section tag. If you target specifically the left ID, it's only going to update the section that specifically has that ID on it. Does that make sense? Oh yeah. So it is good to use both sometimes, because sometimes you might want all sections to have a specific font style, but you want this one specific section to have like a different background color. So you can target all sections with that.
Hey Stephanie, I'm gonna send you my stream. Could you just make sure that the audio and stuff is okay? It might be a little choppy, but nope, I have to stream on YouTube.
The order only matters in that if you are styling something and
The audio is more important than the video. If I can take my face out of the video, it might save.
it's like say the same plastic. Yeah, it changes a little bit if you're going specifically for element tag or an ID or class. Tell it that you want this class to have a specific font color, but then you also tell it that that same ID has an ID.
It's funny, I just realized one of my recent cast of my
So
on the other two pages it works fine. It's just to make this main page. Angular is one of the languages.
It's good. Can you hear okay on there? Do you know? I will say stuff now, and eventually it'll come in. And it's not choppy. The audio's not choppy. Okay. We'll see if there's anyone streaming, and they'll let us know.
And then I had like looked at like
Okay.
my
Cool.
bookmark
Thank you.
Like that's that same logo, and I was like, I figured it was something to do with this class.
yeah, you want to start and then like with this guy, if you wanted to mess around with getting these to separate,
Yeah, I was getting so frustrated with CSS. I started going through all the CSS without like.
I will tell you.
CSS is white on there.
Yeah, it's out of the
It's reactive or whatever.
I'll try. It seems like it should be simpler because it's not like there's not so much like braces or stuff like that. You just stick everything on like in between your curly cues and you're good.
No,
there's just so many folds. So many folds. It really is. On that page, I don't mind. I have to slow down just to see the
Is this screen not on? This screen is on Saturday, isn't it?
But you say, okay, because.
Come on.
See, what I like is, yeah, obviously, I was thinking that there would be another. Yeah, but the thing is, you're honestly, you like totally adjusting it. I thought that there was that. Or
Maybe literally all I do is
should put it almost center, and that's it, no matter like what it is. Similar to how we have so like I have it set.
Okay, we're gonna get started in just a moment. So wrap up your conversations and stuff, and we help. I have no idea why this isn't turning on. Is it gonna come on? Come on. We'll see. All right. Well, hopefully this turns on. Cool. Well, we're gonna get started. How's it going so far, everyone? I know I'm just joining you. So again, if you don't remember, my name is Carson. I've done some TAing, done some instructing. I've been doing the MERN stack as we know it for a while now professionally. So I'm pretty versed in it. I'll be honest with you, my weakest area is most definitely CSS because it's the thing I care the least about. It's not my forte, right? I'm not a designer. I'll never claim to be one. However, I can still help you. I'm definitely not oblivious to it. I'm just not, some UX whiz like some of these guys you see. So anyway, basically we're going to start off today just kind of checking in on everyone, how everyone's feeling. How's the class feeling? I slacked out a little survey thing that I made. Trilogy has that they want you to poll everyone to see how everyone's feeling about like the content and the pace, maybe things we can improve on, any other feedback y'all might have. And frankly, if you don't think these kinds of things are useful, if you don't want to do a survey, if you'd rather contribute to the class by telling me or your TAs directly how we can make this better, by all means do that, and I'll never send you another survey. So I hate surveys. When people send them to me, I go, this is stupid, I don't want to do it. But I figured I'd send one out. If people like the anonymous responses, they can feel more comfortable, we'll send more out, and you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, there's lots of ways that you can offer your feedback. So one thing is our stream. I'm testing some stuff out. The stream may go down. My laptop's really old and really crappy. I just ordered a new one. My wife finally let me because I'm actually instructing a whole cohort now. So that should be here soon, and hopefully the stream problems won't exist. So if you are streaming, obviously most of you aren't today, but if you do start streaming or if you have to stream and there's stream problems, just make sure you're diligent about picking the TAs. And Stephanie, I ask that you just be diligent about watching the main Monday, Wednesday class just to make sure there's no stream issues. You don't got to watch the stream. Nikki, while you're here too, that'd be great. just so no one misses out on anything. I'm recording these as well. I don't use Panopto because I use Linux as my distro, and Panopto only works with bad OSs, so, you know, I can't use it. And that's okay. It just means it's not a good tool.
You mean Windows?
Right? You know, bad OSs, right? Not the ones we want to use. Well, I don't want to use. Anyway, so does anyone have any feedback about the class so far? I know we've learned a lot. You learned some HTML, you learned some CSS, you learned a little bit about how to use the terminal and like Git Bash, and oh, don't get me started on Git. That thing's a monster, right? Does anyone have any feedback or questions or anything they just want to talk about while we're kind of checking in? Yeah.
I think the only problem that I had is the other two instructors, that when they wanted to move on to a new topic, they just started talking and didn't kind of like
Okay.
reel everybody in. So what happened was, wound up spending more time trying to re-explain the couple of minutes that he went into
Okay.
versus just moving forward.
I like that. What's your name?
Heather.
Heather. Nice to meet you, Heather. Okay, so Heather said she didn't, for the streamers out there, she didn't like that sometimes the other instructors maybe felt like they reached the end of a topic and they just moved on. Didn't matter what was going on. Okay, well, I'm going to try not to do that. If y'all have questions and we're on a topic, there's no reason to move on. We'll find a way to cover the rest of the content. You can skip parts of the content. Like, they have this whole big thing where it's like, this is the things you really need to teach. And frankly, it's about 20% of the class that we really need to nail home, right? The rest of it's like extra teaching, extra training, extra exercises to help you all get better. But the core concepts are very, they're generally very brief, and then we try to expand upon those as the class goes on, right? So if there's ever something you're stuck on, please stop me. This is an interactive thing, right? It's not just me up here lecturing you. I hate that. I have slides open today. I never want to do it ever again because they suck. There's no reason to show you slides when I could just show you code, right? But this is a recap, I wasn't here for the first week, so I just want to go over everything we've gone over. Again, touch on anything y'all need a little bit more explanations on, and we'll go from there, okay? Anyone else have feedback? That was awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yeah?
I think it could be pretty effective if we kind of like do like the activity together first with your help, kind of like a walk.
Okay. I like that. Yeah,
It's like,
okay.
We always felt kind of like, you know, being kind of thrown in there. We don't know where to
Right.
start. We don't have a foundation.
Right.
So I think, you know, I mean, that's just coming from me. I don't know if anybody else could probably learn.
How to,
Going off
Alexander?
of that, like that last project that we did on Saturday,
Okay.
I couldn't even touch it because I didn't know where to start. And so I was like hoping you streamed it on YouTube and stuff, but I don't know, I just
Awesome. Okay, that's great feedback. Alexander, and what's your name?
Andy.
Andy? Nice to meet you too. Yeah?
Just to piggyback, I mean, even if it was just like a really expedited walkthrough of what we should be doing to start out or what we will experience, I reference the stream a lot over the weekend or like when we're at home. So
Okay.
the ability to do that because you know we're kind of being really present here and getting through it. If it's recorded and then like it can slack it to us and then like us referencing it later that night, it's cool. Be able to kind of like pause and say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing here, and so forth.
Awesome. Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Alexander, Andy, right? Jacob, Heather? Cool. I got 4, hopefully. Great. That's awesome feedback, and that's cool. Actually, last time I was teaching, I had similar feedback to, hey, can we go through the activities kind of together once, and you can see how I work through it, and I can kind of step you through how I think about it. Hopefully that helps a little bit. We'll go as slow as we need to go on the things that are most important, right? So that's cool with me, if that's cool with all of you. Basically, you want the most bang for your buck, right? All of us know that this wasn't cheap, and it's a huge time investment. So financially and time is a resource you can never get back, right? So you want every moment that you're here to be worthwhile, and I want that too. It benefits me to make sure you're all benefited. So, that's what we're here to do. Anything else? Anyone wants to piggyback off any of that or anything else? I mean, now's the time, right? I'm coming in fresh. I don't care how we do this. I want you guys to kind of decide how we do this so it's best for you, right? Now, I have one feedback, and that is I don't like this desk setup. I think it sucks. Some of the other classrooms, they have little like pods almost where it'll push 2 together and there's seats all around. It's better for collaboration. And it's easier for the TAs and myself to get through and kind of get to all of you so that we can actually help. It's not so weird when you're like, going behind people and like everyone's like, don't look at my computer, That's weird. I don't like doing that. No one likes doing that. It's hard. It's kind of annoying. I'm going to talk to Jason and see if we can't try to get the room switched up. I can only do so much there, but I'm going to try because this isn't ideal, in my opinion. And frankly, you don't need to be staring at me the whole time. You have the pods. You can be looking at your computer. I don't really care if you are paying attention to me or not. It's your prerogative. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's the case, right? I mean, we're all adults. So you're here. You're investing your time. I'm here. I'm investing my time. I'm going to learn the content better. I'm going to learn how to be a better teacher, whether you directly pay attention or not. And I'll help you every moment of the way, whether you pay attention or not. I'm not going to leave you struggling. But don't feel like you have to shut your computer or you have to like turn off the rest of your life every moment that you're in here. You know, sometimes stuff happens. Someone might send you a message, take the text, go take the call. It's cool. Like, we're all adults, right? We can solve these problems together. The other thing is, I'm streaming on YouTube, like I said, but I'm recording on my machine. So the streams will have pretty crappy quality, but the recordings should be way, way better. So when you go back and look at those after I have uploaded them, they should be pretty useful. Hopefully they're useful for you. And again, as you watch those, feel free to offer me feedback as to how they are. Hey, you could change this. Maybe my mic's in a weird place. It's hard to hear me, so on and so forth. Just, like I said, I would really love if we could all be very open and have lots of constructive criticism for each other and how we can make this better. And for me specifically, I'm not going to criticize you. Just let me know how I can be a better instructor, because that's why I'm here. I'm not here to mess around. I could be doing lots of other things with my time, but I chose to be here to help you, and I want to get the most out of this experience like you do too. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So I sent out I got 4 responses on the little survey. That's cool. That's awesome. How would you describe the pace of the class so far? 1 person said perfect, and 3 people said fast. So it's not a really good, test group, right? It's only 4 people. But how many people are feeling like this is going a little fast? I mean, we got that feedback already. Yeah, people are feeling that. That's cool. Like, I get it. This is a really, really fast-paced course. It is. It's really fast. This isn't the first cohort I've been in, not the first cohort that Nikki's been in. We know this is fast and people start to struggle at certain points, and hopefully we can kind of nail those down and take the time where we need to. Like I said, not every exercise has to get done in the class. Just the core ones, and the core ones are few and far between. So as long as we're good at those. How would you rate the quality of the content thus far? 1 person said 3 out of 5. 2 people said 3 out of 5. 3 people said 5 out of 5. So people are feeling okay about it, right? Mostly good. It looks like no one said it's bad yet, and that's awesome. Good. Well, Jason trusts me enough that he said, if there comes a point with the content where we want to make some slight adjustments to make it better for you, fine. So if there's something we're talking about and you're like, this is easy, this is stupid, I don't want to talk about this, or, you ask me, hey, how do people do this in the real world? And I say, well, frankly, they don't do it this way anymore. We could talk about the real way that they do it. There's benefit in learning all the different ways you can do stuff, but, things like floats, for instance, I remarked to a couple of students, I think you, on Saturday that no one uses floats anymore. Like, frankly, that's just old school, and it's hard. It's really hard. They suck, right? I mean, no one would disagree with me, I don't think. They really suck. So there's like a billion other ways to do things that are way easier that you'll learn eventually. For some reason, learning the basic stuff like that everyone started with is still good. It reminds you of where we came from, right? You're like, wow, this really sucks. And then you use like CSS grid, and you're like, wow, this is really easy. So those are nice. Do you think surveys like this are useful? Everyone said yes. It's amazing. Great. I guess I'll give more. I'm not going to do it. What? Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, well, I'm not going to give these out too much, but if people do want to contribute this way, it's more anonymous, great. Like, that's cool. We'll continue to do it. A few questions, nice and easy. All right, so another note. Homework due Saturday. It is not due Wednesday. Don't worry about it being due Wednesday. Saturday. One of the big things about this class is you need to turn something in. When we get to the end, you may not have perfect scores on all the homework, and that's totally cool, but you need to turn something in. So when we get to uploading stuff to GitHub and you have a repository, don't have a blank repository, please. Don't have one file, index.html. Please do something. Do any work. It doesn't matter. As long as you have tried, you'll get a fair grade for your effort, right? And you'll get a fair grade for your quality, okay, but you're not going to fail and you're not going to be penalized for giving it effort, right? We want to see stuff there so that we can give it a good grade and we can give you some feedback on it. And we need stuff there so we can pass you through the course. So as long as you give us, you know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but give us at least 25% effort so we have something there to work with, right? On the times where you're really stressed and you're like, this homework isn't something that I care about, you know, this isn't, you know, we all have life, right? So if there comes a time where life hits you hard and you just want to get the homework done, just get as much done as you can and turn it in so that we can at least look at it and we can give you enough of a grade to get you through, right? Because everyone wants their diploma, little certificate when we're done with this. Everyone wants that to show what they did, and we want to give that to you, so just do something, please. That's all I ask. That's all the TAs ask. We're not going to be harsh on you or anything. If you turn in nothing, though, it'll be a problem. So remember, too, office hours before class. I know I was busy today trying to make sure all this was set up. I'm sorry. After class, I'll probably be more valuable myself because I won't have to set anything up or do any administrative stuff. And hopefully I can get in earlier and earlier and kind of get the routine down for myself so I'm not kind of distracted. But 5:45 or 6, is it 5:45 or 6? 5:45? 5:45 to 6:30, we're here. We're here to help you. And then 9:30 to 10, we're here to help you. The weekends, it's 9:15 to 10, we're here to help you. And 2 to 2:30, we're here to help you, right? So you have plenty of office hours for us to just help you. If you have questions, ask your specific targeted questions then. And then there's tutoring too. So you can get outside tutoring that Trilogy offers, yeah?
So those weekday office hours are new. So you said Monday through Friday, 9:15 to 10?
Monday and Wednesday.
Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, so when I'm here, Monday and Wednesday, or you could come into Tuesday, Thursday if you wanted. If I said Monday and Friday, that was me. That was a brain fart.
I got you.
Or you could come Tuesday, Thursday, yeah, take part in Daniel's class, at least for the office hours, and take advantage of that. So if you live close, it might be nice, right? But Monday, Wednesdays, you know, we're here to help you outside of class too. So take advantage of it. This class is hard. I mean, there's a lot of work, and it takes a long time to get good at it. So, you know, we'll help you. Okay, does anyone have anything to add on what we just talked about? It was kind of like catch up, admin stuff, just kind of talking it out. I know I'm new, don't know anyone's names really, I only know a few people's names now. So please also, I ask that you're forgiving of me for that for a little while I try to get everyone's names down. Anything else anyone wants to add before we start recapping on the content? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what your background is. How'd you learn all this stuff?
That's a good question. So I am self-taught, you guys might like to hear. So I actually have a business degree from ASU, and I graduated in 2014. So, I don't know, 2011 or so, I decided I was getting a business degree, but I thought programming sounded cool. I had dabbled with it as a kid, but I never got good at it or anything. So I did, I switched my degree to computer information systems, which is like business with an emphasis on tech or whatever. Basically, it's like glorified IT guy at ASU kind of thing. But they had programming classes, and I thought that was cool, and I was like, sweet, at least I'll get most bang for my buck in those, right? I went through it. I really liked the programming. I kind of started teaching myself more than the class had to offer, and I knew a guy at one of my internships who was like, hey, I know another guy who needs like a junior dev, and you seem smart enough, you want to just do it? And I was like, cool. I didn't know what I was doing, but this guy somehow hired me, so I started just working. I think I had been programming as an amateur for maybe 6 months, so kind of like where you guys will get out of the class, that's about where I was. And I just kind of went off from there. So I would, you know, work my work hours. I'd go home and study more. I just really loved it. I was really passionate about it. I did that through school, and I found another company, Aspen Systems. They brought me on right out of school. I'm actually transitioning back to them in a couple of weeks. Worked there for a few years. Went up and I actually became the development manager and decided I didn't really want to be a manager. I wanted to go back to programming. So I'd been a senior dev, I'd been a manager, whatever. One of their customers was real big, and they said, hey, we want someone to come kind of like be our lead dev. And I was like, that sounds cool. I'll do that. So I went there. They were a chicken company. It was not cool. I had to fly out to all kinds of weird middle of nowhere places. I went to the middle of nowhere, Mississippi in September. It was really hot and gross. I went to a kill plant where I got to see how they slaughter chickens. at a rate of like 50,000 a day. It was crazy. Smelled. It was gross. Not what I signed up for, right? But anyway, the programming wasn't that great either, so they weren't giving me the freedom I thought I was going to get to grow. And mind you, at this point I was doing a lot of .NET work, so more server-side and like desktop-based apps. I had done some web stuff, but it wasn't my primary focus. Then I switched to doing web for Cook, which is the company I was at. Started doing web full-time for them, like kind of changing their stack to web-based. Did that for about 6 months, and then I transitioned to where I'm at until Friday, which is Axosoft, and they have a tool called GitKraken. So Git is hard, and we actually have a tool that makes it a lot easier, so we can go into that another day too. But anyway, the stack is all MERN, right? So I've been doing Node, React, a whole bunch of JavaScript stuff, you know, Mongo, Express. I've done some TypeScript, all kinds of stuff. So I've been doing that for a while as like a senior dev there, and had a lot to do with their product development, and started teaching here too at the same time, and now I'm transitioning back to Aspen. So yeah, I self-taught. I just kind of kept finding jobs.
Doing .NET on Linux.
Well, I wasn't then. So now these days you can. There's ways to do it with newer stuff, but back then I was all Windows, and primarily I do Windows work at work as well. And at Aspen I'll do Windows. I use Linux at home, so I'm just a snob, I guess. But
I use Mac at home.
what was that?
I use Mac at home.
Yeah? No, that's okay.
Unix based.
That's true. It's Unix based, but it's not Linux. So it's slightly different. But anyway,
Linux is the newest Unix in existence.
well,
And
it's
it was basically transitioned off of Solaris or Unix, the BSD stuff that was done at Berkeley.
yeah. So it does derive from the same BSD stuff that Mac's built off of, right? But it's I don't know. We all have our opinions, right? So I
When
just
did we start on Linux? I started with Unix on Solaris and OpenOX on.
so the good stuff, right? Back in the day, huh?
that was the first-
It's the good stuff. Yeah, cool. So yeah, anyway, that's my backstory. It's not super exciting, but some of you might have a similar path. Lots of programming and lots of work. Cool. Any other questions? All right, let's do some recap. I think I can hit F5. I have no idea what that is. What is that screen? Oh my god. Alright, well I guess I'm like side presenting on this one.
It sort of said going live. It was just too dark of a background. It was
Okay.
just your titles.
This is really weird. I don't know what's going on, but this is, you know, this is Linux, okay? Yeah, it's like the teaching mode. It's weird. Anyway, we are going to see, we talked about this, how's it's going. We're going to go cover some of the stuff we've talked about already. Blah. Oh, yeah. If you want to get to your homework or you want to see any of the activities, the GitLab repo, so I linked to that in our Slack channel, our class Slack channel. If you can't get in, message me, message Stephanie, and we'll get you added to the GitLab. We need your email address and your GitLab username, okay? And we'll get you in there. When you go in there, I'll show you real quick. I'll pull it up. I don't know what is going on. This is craziness. Okay. I'm going to pull it up real quick because I actually want to do something with you all. So one of the things that's been happening so far that we're going to kind of change is when we've gotten to an activity, the TAs or the instructor or whoever has slacked out the activity you're going to do. Now what we're going to do is we're all going to clone this together. The activities for the week will be uploaded before the week starts. And when I say, hey, we have activity, whatever, so-and-so, you're going to go to this repo and do the activity. Or you can pull it out, copy it, whatever. But it's here for you. And then the solutions will be uploaded at the end of the week. So you can see here, this is like the home screen for the repo. You go to repository files, click it, not drag it. And you'll see here, these are like the weeks, right? So this is last week. So initially you'll see activities, homework and instructions, and some supplemental stuff, and this won't have any solutions. And then we'll eventually upload videos, and we'll upload like the solutions to the activities, okay? So when I say, for instance, that we're going to do, you know, activity 2.1, you'll go in here, you'll go to O2 CSS Bootstrap activities, and you'll find like hack website or whatever, and this is where we're going to start. Here will be your instructions. So we're going to clone this together just so everyone's familiar with it. First thing first, everyone should have SSH or HTTPS set up in their terminal at this point, and if you don't, we'll help you do it. We'll help you do it on our next break. I don't want to like stop right now, I know, but we'll get it set up for you, and we'll get it all cloned so no one's lost. So when you come to this page, you can choose to either do HTTPS or SSH depending on which one you got set up. Now remember, if you do HTTPS, the only downside is you have to enter your username and your password every single time you want to pull or clone or whatever. If you do SSH and it's all set up, then you'll get it for free, right? Because you'll enter your passphrase and voila, things will be magic, and you can use like key stores and stuff. So if you don't have SSH set up, I recommend right now use HTTPS, and we can help you get the SSH. And what you'll do is you'll just copy to the clipboard, right? I'll go ahead and open my terminal. Bring it over here. Let me try to blow this up. Cool. Let's see. So CD, does anyone remember what CD means? Change directory. Does anyone know what the tilde means?
Root directory.
Home directory. It's your home directory. So it's your root of your home, I guess, but it's not the actual root on your machine. It's your home. So anyway, we're in my home right now. I don't recommend you put it in your home directory. I would probably do, how would we make a folder? Makedir? Makedir. Let's say I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it classwork, because there's going to be more than just the repo in here. I'm going to go ahead and CD into classwork, right? And from here, I need to go ahead and I need to clone this repo. So who knows the command? Git clone. And I just pasted that I just copied, right? HTTPS. It's going to automatically take the name of the repository, which is that thing that's... Okay, so one thing I got to tell all my cohorts is I have a really weak voice, so when I talk loud, it cracks all the time. And my wife gives me so much shit about it. So it's cool. It's going to happen. I'm fine with it. I just think it's funny, man. So anyway, it's going to take the name of that that crazy name right there, AZGIL 2018, whatever is followed by the .git. You can actually change that. I think it's -o. No, it's not -o. I forget what it is, but you can change it. We're not going to change it for now. So if you just do this, it's going to be like, okay, what's your username? Mine is CJHoward82. And what's your password? And I think it's that. We'll find out. You'll notice when I typed it, nothing happened. You can't see when you're typing a password. Okay, it worked. It just took a little while to catch up. So you can't see when you're typing a password, and that's a good thing. We don't want that. It's going really slow because I said my machine is really not that good and the internet connection's bad. But anyway, it's copying it. It's going, it's going, it's good, it's good. This is what you need to do. We'll get it on your machine. Eventually, it'll be done. One of these days, it'll be done. Anyway, when it's done, you can go ahead and CD into it. You might have beat me to the punch if you're doing this with me. You'll be able to CD on in. Oh, look at that. It's done. Yep. So how do I see what directories exist, or what exists in this directory? LS. Man, you guys are on top of it. Yep. So I can go ahead and CD to the AZGIL. If I do LS again, we have our O1 HTML get CSS and our O2 CSS bootstrap, right? So, you know, we're in O2 CSS bootstrap, so I'm just going to go ahead and go in there. I can see my activities, so on and so forth, and do the stuff, okay? Alright, so every week I said this is going to change. It's going to have solutions, it's going to have new stuff, and you're going to need it. Does anyone know the command to get the new stuff?
Git pull.
Git pull. So it's not going to do much right now. But yes, that is the command. When there's nothing new, already up to date, right? It tells you exactly what's going on. I'm sorry this is out. I'll make sure to ping somebody so you guys can see something. It's already up to date. We're good. We're jamming, right? So that's fine. When we add new stuff, it's not going to say that. It's going to try to pull stuff. What I'm going to tell you right now is a lot of you are going to run into merge conflicts, especially if you're doing your activities inside of this repo. you're going to have a whole bunch of changes to this Git repo, and you're going to go ahead and try to pull our new changes, and it's going to say, you have a merge conflict. No. And you're going to go, what the hell? And that's going to happen. And it's not a fun thing to get around at first till you know what you're doing, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to show you 2 commands, and I'm pretty sure these work. But we'll make sure when you guys get the merge commits that they're exactly right. So if you type, we'll go in here, and you say you type git status, and there's a change. And I'll actually do this to show you. So I'm going to touch a new file, right? If I go ahead and do git status right now, it says you have an untracked file called some file in red. Okay? So every time you're about to pull changes to, you know, our new stuff that we've uploaded, I want you to go in and do git status and see what shows up. If anything shows up here, you're going to have a problem. Now, again, I'm warning you because this is going to be a headache for a lot of people. So if you want to copy the activities out of here and do them in another folder that isn't this Git repo, it's not a bad idea because then you won't get these kinds of conflicts, right? Or you can deal with the conflicts and blow away whatever work you do every time. Or you can not blow away your work. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. One of them is called stashing, and this might be a good one because then you can save your work. So if you type git stash, I want to say it's include untracked, okay? You need this full command, git stash dash dash include dash untracked. All right? Does anyone know what a git stash is? This is a trick question because you haven't covered it.
Stuff that you stored in someplace.
Yeah, so it is what it sounds like. It's a stash, right? You're taking some stuff and you're storing it somewhere. Does anyone know what a commit is?
Commit is when you are basically directing the changes that you've made in the any file to be added to the your working setup now. It doesn't get pushed unless you push it up. It goes direct.
Okay, so commit, it puts it into your repo effectively. It saves those changes. It makes them go live. Okay, so those are both pretty on point, right? So the commit takes them and it adds those changes. It makes them solid stone in history, right? They happen. They're legit. They exist. Can't get rid of them anymore. A stash is very similar, but it says these aren't solid in history. They're just kind of things you were working on, and we're just going to keep them on the side for now. So if you do this and you run it, and then you go ahead and do git status, you see nothing. Wow, that's amazing. So what we did is we didn't destroy our changes. We just put them to the side because we're probably going to want them later. You're going to want to see that work again, right? And then you could go ahead and do your git pull. You're going to do all your fun stuff. Already up to date. Say it isn't. It'll pull a bunch of stuff, do a whole bunch of fun. We can do git stash list. There's one stash, okay? This crazy stuff going on here. 00AF ED7. That's the SHA is what it's called, and you're going to want that. And then I need to check really quick the exact command. So I did man git stash. This doesn't work on Windows. Sorry. Git stash dash dash help does work on Windows. You get the same thing. Okay? On Windows, it's going to open like a page or something. This is all the things you can do with stash. We want to up. Yeah, it's that one exactly. Alexander's got it pulled up right there. What you see? You see this like HTML page that has this on it. We want to apply our changes. Now I know this is a lot. I'm going to recap it in our Slack channel because I don't expect anyone to remember any of this. So if you're writing it down, great. But this is kind of in depth. But this is what we're going to have to deal with because we're pulling from the Git repo. We're going to want to either use pop or apply. So you can see it's like the fourth option down, git stash pop, and then there's a pipe, apply. Doesn't matter which one you use. If you use pop, your stash goes away and it adds the stuff back to your repo. If you use apply, it pulls the stuff out of the stash, puts it in your repo, but it keeps the stash. So you probably want to use pop because we can just restash it if we need to later. Git stash pop. It's back. Okay? So these are the commands you're going to need. You go in, you clone this repo, you do some work, we're filling out our activities, and you're like, okay, crap. It's Saturday, I need the new stuff, or it's Monday, I need this week's stuff, right? I'm going to need it. They're going to start telling us to do stuff, and I'm not going to get it from anyone. You come back into this. git stash dash dash include dash untracked. Boom, everything's gone magic. It just disappears. Git pull all the stuff down. You should see all the new files. No problems. A-okay. Git stash pop. Boom, your stuff's back. Now, if you pop something and then you get a weird merge conflict, well, we'll figure it out then. But anyway, this should take care of most of the work you do. Yeah, what's up?
So, before you take in the new stuff and then the new content delete, you would use that man git stash? Or what was it called?
So, man git stash is to check the man page, as it's called, which is like a help doc. So if you use man in front of any command in the command line on a Mac or a Linux machine, you'll see like a help doc. If you do the command --help on most Windows machines, you should see it. So you're going to do git stash and then the crazy include untracked. Dash dash include dash untracked. The first time. Then you're going to do your git pull and then you're going to git stash pop. It's those 3 commands you're going to want to remember, and you should be able to get things, for the most part, without any problems. And we won't have to worry about it, right? But we killed 2 birds with 1 stone, okay? We went over how we're going to get stuff from the repo. We did a clone together. We did some polls together. We did a stash together. We talked about some of the command line tools, right? And you guys were really on point with those, so that's awesome. Any of this stuff, git stash will come back to. I know I just said I wasn't going to do that, but I lied. This one, because it's not part of the class content, we can cover it again later. This is just something I'm throwing in there for you guys. But git clone, git pull, any of the command line stuff that I did, touch, make, dir, cd, ls, any of that stuff. Any questions? PWD, what does it do? Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, let's see what we're going to talk about next. Any questions on how to get to this GitLab? Everyone can get to it? No one else has any problems? We've added you all. We're good? We're good? Cool. Oh, yeah.
How do you actually get out of the man git stash?
Q. That's a good question. Press Q.
Yeah.
That's a great question. You'll run into that problem. A lot of times it's just Q. If Q doesn't work, try :Q. :Q doesn't work. I don't know what you're doing, so I can't help you. :QW. That does a write, though, I think. Or :X does a write as well.
QW will actually try to quit then write, but you should do WQ.
WQ is a write then quit, yeah. Or you can do :Q exclamation point, which is I don't care about anything, get me out of here. Okay, so let's see what's next on the agenda. Let me pull up those slides again. Hopefully I'm not still freaking out. Oh, good. We're just going to use these because they're weird. Let's see. We're going over a ton of HTML, CSS stuff right now. And that stuff is crazy and it's weird. So GitHub. Let's talk about GitHub just briefly. Why is GitHub important or useful or worth anyone's time? Why were they just bought for $7.5 billion?
Version control?
Version control. Why do we need that?
Because collaboration.
Because collaboration? Well, what about the version control in GitHub allows for us to collaborate easier?
Just push different versions and pull.
You can push a bunch of different versions. Yeah, GitHub allows you to invite a bunch of people to look at your code, right? It's really easy to
It
manage.
also allows you to merge. If you have 3 people working on a project, if one person's working on the header part, one's working on the body, one's working on the footer, you can push each person push changes, and then the other people can get those changes as they're going along with
Exactly.
Any version control you can do that, but Git is the, I don't know if it's the latest, but it's the latest flavor that everybody's using.
Right, so you can kind of compartmentalize your work and do them all in different parts, and everyone can collaborate that way. Another great thing with Git. So there's a lot to why it's awesome, and you should get really comfortable with it, and we will. So parts of CSS. This is kind of hard to see. Whoa. The parts of CSS styles. Okay, so when we are determining or making a CSS style sheet, right? And we have, different properties we're going to put on classes or IDs or just elements or whatever. We have a certain breakdown for everything, right? We have a selector, and then we have the declaration curly braces, inside of there, you have all of your different properties. So you have your property name, and then you have your property values. And those are all different things. You have background color, yellow. You have font size and pixels and percentages and REMs and all kinds of weird things. You have font weight, bold, font size. You have font families, which are a bunch of strings and stuff. A ton of stuff. Does anyone have any questions about the basic look of the selectors and how you actually build these style sheets? No? No questions there? Everyone's feeling good? So there's one technique I use. So one of the things when Trilogy puts you through all the interview stuff, they're like, oh, you need to engage the class a lot. So the only way I know how to do that without being super corny is this thing called the Fist of Five. So it's corny, but it's the easiest thing. It doesn't put anyone out real bad. So CSS, right now CSS is just blanket, basic. I told you to make a CSS file and create some styles. Nothing super advanced. How's everyone feeling? Fist of Five, 1 to 5. Or 0 if you really, really hate it, right? Everyone's feeling pretty good? Wow, okay, good. We're seeing, it looks like pretty much 3s and above. That's awesome. So if you're at a 3 right now, you should feel good, right? If you're at a 3, you're comfortable enough that we can go through and do this. If you're at a 4 and a 5, awesome, okay? If you're below the 3, that's when we can put in a little bit extra effort and we can help you get to that 3. So the basic structure there, nothing too crazy. Floats. How's everyone feeling about floats? Yeah? Okay, those are a little bit more across the board. Yeah, they're weird. We'll talk about them a little bit more. I don't like them very much. I frankly don't really even understand them. Kind of do whatever the hell they want. So we can talk about these a little bit later. The box model. How are we feeling about the box model? The margin, border, padding, content. How's that? Everyone kind of jiving on that? Okay, we're still a little shaky on that one too. Okay. And then basic positioning. This one I hate positioning. I have no idea why you would choose to use something as relative versus just static, to be completely honest with you. Absolute, I know why I use it. Fixed, I know why I use it. But relative never made any sense to me. It's just like a random thing you do that some CSS wizard's like, yeah, this needs to be relative. And you're like, okay, great. I don't know why. I don't even understand positioning. I'm like a 3-2 on that. So how are people feeling on that one? Yeah, we got some people. You guys are probably better than me.
Actually, I was reading
Sure. Yeah.
So when I was doing that one, so when I did the position relative and then I did the position absolute, it worked right. The absolute went to the bottom right of the relative one. But then when I took out the relative, I guess the relative code part, the absolute went to the bottom of the page. It wasn't inside of the relative anymore.
Yep.
So I kind of just was thinking that those two had to be together.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, that is correct. So basically what's happening with relative, I don't know all of the details, but what I can tell you is if you have an absolute that's just in a static container or whatever, it just goes based off of the page's viewport, right? So all of the content you have. But if you want to position something absolutely within something else, you have to make its parent relative. Once you make its parent relative, the absolute positioning is relative to that parent, right? So I think relative is more to do with the children in it than it does with itself, as like absolute does. But I could be wrong there. I could be missing a detail. That's how I think it works. But you're right. That's how it does work. So if you were to do the absolute and you don't have the relative, it's going to go based off of the page. It's no longer based off the parent. So a whole bunch of crazy CSS stuff. I like this. Lost, confused, unsure, and clear. I don't know. CSS, frankly, is like the least logical thing you'll run into in all of your programming. I'm pretty sure the guy who originally wrote it was on acid or something when he wrote it, and he was just like tripping, and he's like, yeah, this is cool, man, and did something. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Stephanie or Nikki can weigh in. Does it make any sense to you? I have no idea. Nikki's like, yeah, totally. She uses it more than I do, probably. I'm more back end. Alright, so, really quick. So, we had some problems with float. Let me look at the time just to make sure that we're not going to miss anything. Okay, I'm behind on time. So, I want to look at floats and stuff. I want to cover that a little bit more. Maybe we'll talk about it at the end of class because we have a section just to like help on the homework and stuff. But we're going to talk about the Chrome DevTools. We're going to go in a little segue. And this will help you a ton on figuring out CSS, how it works, HTML elements, how they work, and all that fun stuff, okay? Now, Nikki, if you can give a better explanation of the positioning, then by all means, please do. so she doesn't really know. That's just how she's like deflecting it, right? No? I don't know. Okay. So we're going to look at the Chrome DevTools. I'm going to show you something I haven't showed anyone but my wife, and that is I made a personal website a few weeks ago because I was playing around with a new programming language that's pretty neat. It's not good. The website, like I said, I'm not a designer. But anyway, if you go to carsonhoward.com, it's my fun little website, right? And I put my resume on here. You click it. Wow, look at it. It's cute, right? Yeah, anyway. They're basically just collapse. I was just testing out some stateful logic stuff. Anyway, there's this sweet thing you can do in web programming that you don't get in, a lot of other programming called the Chrome Developer Tools. And if the Chrome Developer Tools existed everywhere else, wow, that would be amazing. Programming would be amazing all the time, but it's not. If you go into your browser, again, these are Chrome only. If you open up Chrome, and on Linux or Windows you hit F12, on Mac you press some mysterious key that I never remember. Is anyone a Mac user that knows the Chrome DevTools shortcut? 'Cause I can never remember it. Google, here, that's a good one. We'll Google it together. You can Google it. I'm going to Google it with you so I know.
Option, Command,
Beat me to it.
I.
Option, Command, I. So if you press Option, Command, I in your Chrome page, you'll see this weird screen pop up. And it's going to be all weird, and like the web page is going to get all weird and like squished sometimes. There's going to be all kinds of things. It's going to say elements, network, console, sources, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot you can do with these. They're extraordinarily powerful, but what we're going to focus on right now are the elements, and this is really cool. You'll notice already it looks like an HTML page, right? And I'm sorry I can't really blow this up. Oh, never mind, I can't. I'm a liar. I can blow it up if I can move this stuff. I don't want that. I don't need the console. So you can see there's like some CSS looking stuff down here, and there's some HTML looking stuff up here, and it's pretty rad. And as most of you could assume, this is the literal HTML that's being rendered on the page right now. So what's neat about this is you can go ahead and see how something renders. Boop, open it up. Boop. I can find the nav bar. I can find my brand. I can right click. I can edit text. Woohoo. And then you'll notice over here the text has changed to woohoo. So the Chrome DevTools allow you to do something really fun, and that is you can change the content that you're viewing at runtime, right? It's the beauty and magic of the web. You can just like send all this stuff out and play with it when it's already done. It's amazing. You don't gotta like rebuild it or whatever, reopen the browser. It's just there for you. It's wild. It gets better, but this is where we're at right now.
Cool tool to prank your friends with.
It is a cool tool. Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, it's actually like CNN articles and stuff. Yeah.
There's a kid I work with named Josh, and Josh is funny because he's 18. He's incredibly smart. He's been working at this company for 2 years. He's crazy. He's going to Caltech, one of the best computer science schools in the country. He graduated high school at like 15. I don't know. The kid's nuts. He's very, very smart, right? And we rib each other a lot. He's very, I would say, he's rambunctious. He's only 18. He just turned 18, right? And he likes to give me crap. And so I went onto some big website, and I said, there's a bunch of articles, and we were discussing something internally, and I was like, oh, wow, this article came up, and it was like Josh sucks or something. And I posted it in the company Slack. It was funny. I thought it was funny. No one else would have laughed, but it was a great time. But yeah, you can do that with this kind of stuff. It's cool. You can even change the class. So I can go in here, I can double click on the class, and now I'm editing the classes. So if I can find like a cool class that I use, I wonder if I can like make it app and give it weird styles. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Look, it changed, it got all weird. Oh no, that was highlighting. Whoops. You can add a class though. If you have one in a style sheet that exists, you can go ahead and add it. And you can see what happens, or you can just delete it. Boop. And then it changes, right? So, hey, what does this look like with no classes? Oh, it looks like that. That's pretty cool, right? Or if I want to go ahead and add an attribute. Say I want to add style directly. And I want to make the color red. Right? I can do that. Right here. Right here in the browser. Like, it's amazing, right? I didn't have to do anything fancy. I just open up the page. I hit F12. Option Command I on Mac, and it's here, and you can go through every element that exists Now the reason why I don't like to show this page off is my wife pointed this out. It says contact me, and I never fixed it. So I felt like an idiot. She's like, this is contact me. I'm like, shut up. No, it doesn't. You know, so anyway, you can imagine how powerful this can get, right? And you can even go in here and I can add an element, I think. Yeah. You can edit as HTML, right? So I can like just start adding stuff, add a p tag. I don't know, do whatever I want, and it's just like there. So you can imagine how powerful this really gets, right? It's very, very important for you to do this. Anyway, I showed this off a little bit, right? I went in, modified a website. Now what I want all of you to do is I want you to find a website that you like. It doesn't matter what the website is. I want you to go open up that website. I want you to open the DevTools, and I want you to start messing with stuff. And whoever comes up with the most creative thing, I want you to Slack it out to our class Slack, right? Give me something good, right? Let's share those. So do that for about 15 minutes. Questions?
I was going to mention that, well, sort of the same question. When you're in the elements page, you can't save anything locally, or, you know, it's just like you refresh the page, it goes back to normal.
That is a very good thing, yes. Awesome, thank you for bringing that up. Totally forgot to mention, yeah, if you refresh, all of that work, that hard work I just did, it goes away forever. If it ever refreshes, that is. Because, yeah, see? It goes away. So, if you're proud of your creation, you can close the DevTools. That's cool, but don't refresh your page before you send us a picture of it. We want to see that picture.
So we screenshot it and share it on Slack.
Screenshot it, share it on Slack, yeah.
That was my question.
Yep, that's what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes or so. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then... and I don't want this to be something you've done. I want this to be like just a fun website you find. Another thing you may be wondering too is I mentioned here that there's CSS. If you can find the element, you'll see all the CSS classes that apply to it, and you can actually just randomly start turning stuff on and off very easily. So you can alter the CSS classes and the basic CSS in here as well. So there's more you can do than just the HTML. So there's a lot you can do on this. Do something fun. Let's see some cool stuff. I'm going to display them up here, so don't do something too inappropriate. I don't want to get in trouble. And feel free to talk while you're doing this. Like, this isn't a super serious exercise. So have fun while you're doing it. Play with the DevTools. Show each other. Come up with cool ideas. Partner on it. I don't care. Just get familiar with these DevTools because we're going to do this and then we're going to do it again in just a moment. So get as familiar as you can, and then I'm going to ask you to do a little bit more.
Is there a way to like I'm on a page and then I can highlight the body, but if I want to find something specific, can I do like a search and find it? Or like I'm trying to find something to highlight specifically.
You right click and select that specific item, it will
Right.
highlight it for you.
So first of all, there's this in the top left corner.
Okay.
It's a little fun
Right
right here.
click it and re-inspect.
You click that, and that'll highlight the element you're hovered over, and then you can right click it to inspect the element. It'll take you to it in the Chrome DevTools. So that's the best you get, right? That's how you get your search effectively by manually like hovering through it.
Okay, cool, thank you.
You can see here. So like this image, it automatically highlights it when you have this clicked. So it automatically takes you to it. Boop. And there you go, there you're at it. Or you can undo that and then you can do inspect right here. Same thing. So there's several different ways you can get to them, yeah. But there's not like a search, I don't think. There's a filter. Wow, look at that. I'll give you like 6 or 7 more minutes, and then I want to see some of these beautiful creations. Once you screenshot it, you should be able to either upload it, so you'll be able to go. Yeah. You're on Mac? I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like print screen on Windows. And what was that? Command Shift what?
4.
Command Shift 4.
Oh, you refreshed. Dang. Oh, shit. Mine's gone too.
I'm so sad.
I accidentally clicked on a link.
So Trevor plays for the Diamondbacks. That's cool, man. Nice, good job. Why are you here though? You're making a lot more money on the Diamondbacks. Yeah.
I gotta think about it after.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that.
Can't play forever.
Charlie should play for the Suns. Okay, well, they're debating it. That's good. See, the thing with the CNN, the Apple MacBook Pro should get the same 2012 tech as 2018 Pro. I believe it. I believe the headlines, so you got me there.
Dang.
So you wanted the screenshot.
I put it in the wrong place.
That's okay. It's extra fun to go find it. I don't like construction. Nice.
It's Wikipedia like the hardest one because there's so many links.
Yes.
So I messed up on that one. Should have been like Google.
By the way, thanks for doing that. The stream channel, if you haven't figured out already, that's where we're posting links to the Panopto videos after they've been uploaded. So if you want to go see them again, for now, that's the place to go. I'll post this one after it's uploaded tomorrow, probably. Eventually, I want to get like a file in the GitLab repo that just links to them, so it's easier for you guys to remember. You don't gotta go to stream, but for now, use that one. And if it's not up to date, just yell at your instructor, and they'll do it. And that, since it's me, I mean, I guess, yell at me. Command Shift 3 will take a full screen, and Command Shift 4 will take a crosshairs, and you can like select what you want to do.
Light shot.
I'm going to start using the little emojis to display my satisfaction with your creative work. So everyone's going to get the little hundreds.
Dang, keep clicking the page.
Again?
Click like 3 times.
Never gets better.
Why does it keep like it keeps like automatically like deleting all of it?
Man, the Space Jam Warner Bros. Page is bleak.
What do you mean?
So for all of you that have posted your photos already and have had fun with these and want to move on, the next step to this exercise is I want you to take one of the things we've worked on so far in class, open that up in the Chrome DevTools, make a bunch of edits to it in the DevTools, and then I want you to retrofit those edits actually into the website, okay? So you go in, you change text, you change CSS, you add floats, you do whatever you want to do to get better with these DevTools, and then take that and retrofit it back in, right? Use it as like an iterative learning experience on how to make your website better. So that's the next thing we're going to do for another 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes or so. And these are awesome, people. Nice work.
So I'm using the code instructions for the restroom first entry call during the instructions. So
For
for
this
what
one,
we're
or
doing right now.
what we're doing right now? Basically, we're just opening the Chrome DevTools and having fun.
Okay.
And then when you're,
We're supposed to submit something.
you can do a screen capture, and if you want to share it in the Slack channel.
Oh, just in Slack.
Yeah, but other than that, after you're done with that, I'd say in the next couple minutes start to pivot towards taking something you've worked on in this class personally, like an HTML page, changing it with the DevTools, and then trying to retrofit that actually into the HTML yourself.
Okay.
And use it to kind of like learn how to make changes, right? So
Okay.
that's going to be the next thing we're going to do. And you don't got to share that one. Just use it as an exercise to get more familiar with the dev tools, because you're going to want to get very familiar with these, right? You're going to want to be dev tools experts here sooner rather than later, because they're only going to make your life easier. What was that?
Extremely helpful for homework.
Extremely helpful for the homework, always. I mean, we're doing JavaScript, so the dev tools will take you from start to finish. You'll use them now all the way to the very, very end when you're doing your final React projects. So even on the node side, on the server side, you'll still use them. So they are incredibly useful, always. And if you have any questions about playing with anything, let us know. I know this one is, you know, kind of just monkeying around a bit, but that's what we want you to do, experiment. We're going to be also taking our break, so I'll just kind of let you play around. I want you to play with the dev tools. At 7:57, we're going to start the next exercise, so if you want to go to the restroom now, by all means. If you want to do something, by all means, but play with these dev tools, okay? Don't stop playing with them just because you can go on a break, right? So,
How can I go down, like, where the attributes are the black, you know, how can I edit that?
try double pushing the properties, but they might not be able to do it. Sometimes you can. Right click or right button.
Yeah.
You probably just can't. Because I forget exactly why. Sometimes you can't edit some CSS styles. But you should be able to go to the element itself that has those styles and just change the element. So see how you have the element selected, right? You go to the element like edit, edit text, edit HTML.
I just changed the
Okay. If you edit his HTML, you should be able to add like styles. And there's also like add attributes. So now you can do whatever you want.
Oh,
You can add style, whatever class.
Oh, okay, so just do like you want to.
For right now. You can turn them into classes if you actually take in your project, right?
Okay, well, thank you.
What time do you want us back after little break?
7:57. Or 8 o'clock if you want to round up. I don't care. That works. Yeah, what's up?
I just have a general question. What website do you use to host your website?
What did I use to host this? Oh, that's a great question. This is hosted on AWS, Amazon Web Services. I'm using a static S3 bucket to host the content, and then I'm routing it through CloudFront, CloudFormation, whatever their DNS provider is. API gateway, something, I don't remember.
And then where do you buy the www.yourname.com?
Where did I buy the domain? That's a good question too. Google Domains. So Google Domains, I think it's like $10 a year or something. And my Google account has all of my crap, so it just renews. But you can buy domains through Amazon, you can buy domains through Google, through GoDaddy, bunch of people, right? So wherever you find the best price is.
So Google's the cheapest one?
It was at the time for me, yeah. And I use Google for about everything, so why not?
How many websites do you have, like, you bought Google?
Just this one. I might have a couple others that I don't use anymore. I've built some sites for friends. I don't know if any of them are even up anymore. But most of the stuff I do is at work, right? So I have some others I'm working on. Oh, whoa, this is crazy. But in terms of my personal sites, this is it. That's all I got. Probably buy more soon. My wife wants to host her own website, so she's building one at the moment.
So your wife knows about this too?
She's probably a little bit further than you guys are. So she's doing it, kind of teaching herself at a slower pace, right? And she knows enough CSS and HTML to be dangerous, but like JavaScript and stuff, she's still pretty iffy, and she doesn't know any server side. So she's taught herself a pretty good amount of the CSS and HTML stuff. But she's pretty independent, and she really does not like asking me questions. You know, it's a spousal thing, I guess. So she has. I'm like, you know, I can always help you learn this stuff, but that is like the worst thing to say to my wife. So. Severe thunderstorm warning, yeah.
Yeah, did you get that?
I just got it,
I
yeah.
just looked up the radar. That's doesn't look good.
I gotta drive too, man. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna head outside. I'm gonna close my windows. That's a big.
You can close your windows?
Just crack. Oh, I got it just in case.
You can't close your windows during monsoon.
Just be back by 8, everyone. That's all I ask. Get a question? Should be like, hey, what's your evening, right?
Well, I mean, does it keep it like forever if you put the wrong one in at some point?
Yeah, Windows can. There's a Windows.
If you have the SSH key up there, it ties the password that you tried to put in with that SSH key. So what you may have to do is drop the SSH key from GitLab and then try to log in again and see if it will. Because like with I'm bad with names.
Carson.
When Carson was doing it, you notice it asked him for a password every time.
Yeah.
That's because he hasn't put the SSH key up there. So if you drop the SSH key from your GitLab, if you put one up there, I don't know if you have.
I feel like I have, but I'm not 100% sure.
So what you can do is you go to your GitLab, and in there it tells you what SSH keys you have, what group and where that's at.
So before we try that, let's try one other thing, because it could be that, but if we're trying the HTTP, it shouldn't be asking you for your SSH. So I want you to look for the, let me Google how to open up the credentials manager. Windows get credentials manager. Man. There is a, so basically there's this credentials helper that Windows has. And when you go to enter your password and username for HTTP stuff, the first time it opens this window. And it asks you once, and it tries to remember them. It tries to be smart. But if you mess it up or something, or you forget something, it's there forever. So I'm trying to remember how to open it.
That sounds about right.
And set Windows credentials GUI.
I have some element somewhere else that's messing with it.
Have you tried opening up in the developer tools and actually see what
I can't. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
messing with it there, and I can't. Every time I adjust part of the header, for some reason it only adjusts on the back end and not the top left hand corner. It's weird.
Okay. Interesting.
I'll come check it out in a second.
Oh, I was just talking.
Oh, you guys got it?
Okay,
Oh, I
so
don't have it.
let's go ahead and open your control panel.
Just a regular.
Yeah, type control panel there. And then go to like user account. Credentials manager.
Like position absolute and margin set to 0.
It's not raining yet. There's just like rain drops.
Put top 0. Just to make
It's
sure
not actually raining yet.
it goes up there. And then I have to put the index as 3, so
It's
that
stored in
other
there.
elements will
Might be another one.
at the top when I scroll.
No, I haven't actually.
Scroll on the floor. Yeah. Yeah, when I print it out on my phone.
I guess because my header is moving up and there's a crossover, or my footer. Because my footer sets absolute, but it
Should I
doesn't.
go back and try the
Crossover.
Yeah, I had you know the descriptions over the pictures. I had that rolled over in my header in my nav bar, and it just looked really weird.
Oh, that's because they have their own Z index.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to set that in order for it all to work, but it worked. Surprisingly.
I did forget to try. There we go.
Is it working now?
I don't think I need a position absolute, but I think I need to tell it top
Alright.
zero,
Yeah.
left zero.
I have a lot of extra stuff in here because I got frustrated and I was like,
Yeah, I just dumped whatever to see,
yeah, this
and then
is
you
like
just edit as you go.
CSS trash can. I mean, it's so packed full of shit.
Yeah. What did you use? Did you use floats or did you use inline blocks?
I am not the biggest float. I did
Right
inline
now.
block.
Right now.
That's the better one. Yeah.
On the other homework, I did that as well. I was using floats. But then I found I wound up having to use a lot of negative values to get things to go.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I did that for like the classwork or whatever on Saturday, and I was like, this is the worst.
Yeah, so
I'm
it's
just glad I knew negative values because that's Jesus. I remember when I didn't.
Actually, no, my image floats. I'll think about it.
Basically, like,
Just to meet the criteria on the specification.
yeah, just React as JS.
I've got just a couple floats in my actual page, but
And then you have to use the input if you want to use it. If you want to use Repo, you just literally type out the numbers. But
essentially what I'm trying to tinker with, but it's like just that header, and whenever I do something to it, everything else just
built into it. It's
yeah,
like
it goes
almost
somewhere else.
like
Good solid 6 hours yesterday just trying to fix the mistake I made. Work through everything on a while.
That's why I love Git. At least in the VB, you can go to the left where it says source control, and you can just throw away all the changes you made since the last thing you pulled. Yeah. So I'm like, oh man, I messed up too many things. I don't know where I am anymore. Just start over. But you have to like make sure you commit or push at like whenever you have something good.
Camel case where the first letter is lowercase, Pascal's where the first letter is lowercase.
I used to doing it on like text editor.
Oh my gosh.
Had
We're gonna fight about this right now.
having all these short
This Visual Studio code is way better than like a Notepad or something like that. There's a bunch of other editors. I'm surprised that they use this one, although I am liking this one.
I used to use
Because
Pad++.
look, it had both. It had
Yeah,
both.
there's one called
It's a
Atom.
camel case.
It's pretty good. It's very similar to this one. I do like it.
Carson.
I
What
use
did you just say?
Visual Studio or whatever.
Camel
It's
case,
better around this one.
lowercase, Pascal,
I like it.
That's not
It's not
true.
bad at all.
No, I was like when I first started like trying to code a little bit, I was just doing it all out of my own like sources pretty much. Because they were
Okay, that's
Visual
not
Studio codes, like
necessarily a reference.
if you don't remember, like I knew there was a way you could like stroke the text to like outline it, but I didn't remember how. So I literally just had to stroke and kind of line and like yeah, I could do it.
Trying to bump it
And I was like, I
We're
remember
getting
that.
an SSH.
Let's take a look at it.
I don't think that it auto
Yeah.
that drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's totally. Yeah, a lot of them do nowadays.
I hate it.
I just hate the way like it like you lose your cursor because it highlights and like puts little boxes around the brackets. You know what I mean?
Or yeah, that and I'll wind up trying to type something on the console and it's typing it into my shit.
Absolutely, this one does
Okay.
work.
So let me see. So try to do the SSH. Do you already have an SSH key up there, or are you trying to upload one?
I was trying to.
Okay, cool. Alright, so the SSH keygen, you don't need to get clone with it. Just try doing the SSH keygen and everything after.
Is it all the relative positions or like count?
I had to
In your
add a
terminal,
height.
you don't need to do anything in GitHub. What?
Once I added a height
Yeah, so if you just hit up,
to the headers.
like up arrow, one more time. So just delete everything before SSH keygen. You're gonna have to write
Yeah, it
that
just
for
dropped
key
in my
terminal.
list until it didn't have height, it just dropped it in random places and so, okay, that's what I'm at. Hoping to put relatives or something. You didn't give me no height to put it into, so.
How crazy is this code? When you change. So I
Go ahead and
can
Google for me, generate an SSH key from GitHub.
I like the, yeah, I like the.
Right. SSH key generate.
After I took off work to be at the bottom. No, unless, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And then the left one works, right? I would have thought it was just, but maybe you could have bought it.
That first link that you're gonna spin to, perfect.
Oh, really?
Go ahead.
Did you ever try setting it as sticky? Did it work for you?
What's up with your Git bash again?
Oh, I didn't try sticky, but so
Control
it
C for me and the Git
scrolled
bash
with
terminal.
so like it moved up and then as I scrolled it down, it would
Git bash.
scroll. That's the way it should work, right?
When I was searching for that, it seemed
Yeah,
like
you see,
it was
like-
the same thing as yours.
Yeah, does it fix do that when you scroll it stays in the same spot? Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Now if you do the SSH keygen, so if you, you're gonna have to manually retype all that, but if you do the SSH keygen -grsa -d, it should work.
You could probably just, that's why I was using absolute.
Yeah, well, I got rid of the scroll bar.
Oh wait,
It was still right specifically.
it messes you up on all the other pages. Like I can't get to the bottom of the portfolio because it's too big. I mean, maybe just on that page instead of like an entire body.
I was a data analyst for 8 years, and the company I worked for was starting to cut people. And it was interesting.
We get humid. Push that screen. Oh my god. Right.
It'll be 3 or 4 times, but still.
Yeah, I've learned to think that the rain is the worst thing in the world. But you guys worship it.
I mean, other cities do it now.
Seattle.
That's a bad one. Started pouring rain.
Okay. So what this is saying is it's going to generate the SSH key, right? And put it in that directory. It's going to call it IDRS. I would be okay with that. If you want to change it, so if you put that, if you want to give it a passphrase, and it's recommended, right? It's extra protection. You don't actually have to. You just want to protect it. So that was up to you. So now what we have to do is let's go ahead and go get this.
That's a hot industry right now.
So he did some for some.
And right here, click on the profile. Profile picture. And into settings.
Makes their videos and earns money from that.
Yeah, that's what
You should see a setting for SSH.
It's a little bit of like
And you do SSH.
Actually speak fluent Spanish. Because I grew up in Puerto Rico.
And go ahead and name it.
Military.
That's why I like how the huge culture shock.
So let's go ahead and open up a folder then.
The way I want to live now.
You can't accept this. You have to live back then.
Want that open?
You have to be around the
So-
90s, early 90s. Yeah. If you can't, if you read from that, there's no way.
So for this PC, we need to get to the user profile, and then go to see.
Yeah, they've been there for 5 hours.
And then you use.
You know, and somehow
And then you go up to and then .ssh. You have IDRSA, and then you have this publisher file, right? You have to open that. The second one. Right click it. Get over to that one. Right click it, you can open with Notepad or whatever. You can copy the contents.
$1,500 or $1,500 gets you like.
For the most part.
Sure, there.
Where?
Was that like coffee?
California.
Oh,
Is that in Silicon Valley?
yeah. We did that train thing where dating this girl in Sacramento. And people would live out there and they would train.
Yeah,
and
they
pay
take
you.
out trains.
Well, yeah, they would pay you to work on the train company and stuff. You just go to the office for 5 hours, an hour.
You take Caltrain up to the city.
Yeah.
Bro, that's 2 trees.
That's what I'm saying.
So then you take a car.
Yeah, dude.
Control A,
California's
and
great.
Control C to copy all of it.
You know, and like you down there, there's a lot of good food out there. Down here, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Way cheaper. Some bigger houses.
And this box is Control
Less
C.
traffic, but we're getting.
The traffic is pretty manageable.
Where?
Oh, here?
I
I don't know, man.
But
A couple
password
years
is-
ago, traffic like this was unheard of. You know, man, the traffic's been really bad lately here.
This thing has worse drivers.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Once you go down to Tucson,
Start this again.
it's worse.
Now you have a key added to go over.
I'm just patient now.
Hey, dude, what a good Samaritan.
Oh, you stepped on it.
Oh, yeah,
I trust him.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
No, no, it's all good.
Okay.
And really, I think
we're gonna get started again here in a moment. All right. Get cracking. I work on that.
Yes, that is a cool piece. I think our
You like it? Cool.
Where's the office?
Braintree, the 101. What did you say?
I haven't used it yet.
You haven't used it yet?
No.
We can go over it in another class or after hours or something if you want to see it. I mean, I'm leaving the company, so it's not like I'm that attached to it, but I still think it's a cool tool. Okay, Fist of 5. How's everyone feeling about the dev tools? 10, any 10s? Wow, 10s. Woo, nice. Cool, so most people are feeling pretty good about them. That's good. Like I said, you're going to want to get comfortable with them. You don't need to be an expert right now, today, but use them when you can and use them frequently because they are helpful. So, we're going to ignore this real quick. I'm going to go ahead and open up the other VS Code I had. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about CSS resets and CSS sheets really quick. Before I get into that, before class is over, does anyone want to see setup of an SSH key with GitHub again? I know that's like a super confusing thing. Is there anyone else who wants to see that, or could we just do it after class? We'll just do it after class. Yeah, so those that want to see it, we can do it after class, but those that don't need to. Okay, so CSS and CSS resets. Okay, so one of the cool things you can do with CSS is you can actually use multiple style sheets to basically stack them, right? They're called cascading style sheets because they cascade in order of how you load them into your HTML page. So there's multiple ways to skin a cat, basically. So say we have this HTML file, and by now, how do we all feel about the style sheets? If I tell you make a style sheet and link it to 5, how are we feeling on that? Right? Okay. Most people feeling okay, right? That's good. Yeah. 2 or 3? 2, 1. Okay. So we'll fix that. Okay. So right here, for those of you that Alexander, you said you were 1.
Yep.
I want you to tell me what this means. This line right here. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
So basically, you're like linking it to like a related file, so that you can have basically CSS to link so it becomes valid.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. That's true. What is
That's something to relate to. So
what does this rel mean?
relate.
Yeah. Style sheet, right? I don't know exactly what rel means. It might mean relate, relative, something like that. I don't know. But the type?
Which kind of like file you're kind of going after. So like if you're doing CSS.
Right, that's the type of the file, and this is a text file with CSS in it. And then href.
So isn't that when you basically make a new file, name it whatever you like, and then CSS?
Right, so you make a file, you'll name it something .css, in this case style.css, and you use an href to link it. How does the HTML know how to find this? It's obviously not on my computer in the root file called style.css, right?
You have to make it.
What was that?
Don't you have to make the CSS one?
You have to make it, but how does it know where to find it on your disk? Where is style.css in relation to the HTML page?
Right there, it's telling you it's relative. It's in the relative to the HTML file. It should be in the same directory.
Should be in the same directory, right? So this style CSS is actually that same file. So it's really confusing, I think, because it's like href to style.css. You're like, well, where the hell is that? I have no idea. It could be everywhere, right? But it's relative, right? And it's relative to where you are now, and where you are right now is the index.html file, right? So if we were to go ahead and we were going to move this, let's say I have a styles folder. How now, Alexander, would I link to that file? What if I did styles? You think that would work?
Because it's under like the folder styles.
Because it's under the folder styles, exactly.
So it's okay to put that styles in there just for like.
Yes, absolutely. So you're saying now that this is in its own directory, and this is the name of the file. that make a little bit more sense? I know the href thing's really weird, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, the style sheets. Let's go ahead and look at the style sheet and see what it looks like. So these are our, you know, CSS selectors, CSS properties, whatever you want to call them, the CSS styles. This one is for body. Now, is body a class? Is body an ID? What is body? It's an element, right? It is the selector for the body element. How many of those are there? There's one. Right. So this is basically saying the entire body is going to have a color of this weird grayish, this background of this nice off-white, right? Specific line height, a specific font size, a specific font family margins. This is like basic setup for your entire HTML page. Now we have this header. What is that? Is it a class? What is it? It's another element. How do we know that this is an element? Doesn't have a dot or a hashtag. What else could it have? Pound? The hashtag, right? The pound, yeah. What else could it have? Trick question, who knows?
You can have a bracket. I guess you can have a bracket around it, but you can put a bracket after it to actually identify a given type of header or a given type of input box.
There are brackets you can put around it for other attributes, yes. And there are also other weird pseudo selectors and stuff. That was a trick question. You don't need to know that. Not yet. H1 must be an element then, right? H2 must be an element. Oh, dot container. What's that? That's a class. And then we got these pound signs, these hash signs, these octothorpes if you want to be super cool. What are these? IDs. So why don't we take one? I want to search for this. There it is. ID. That's how you can cross-reference. It's pretty cool, huh? So, the point being, we have one style sheet. It's doing all of the styles for our HTML page. And we link it with this one single link. Which is all well and good. Does it make a little bit more sense? A little bit? Just a little bit? I know it's tough. But we have two more examples. Hopefully we can nail it down a little bit more. Okay, so got our styles. We're all pretty familiar with this. Any questions on actually how the styles are defined in here? Yeah?
So if you make a style for the body, like font size, like 50 pixels or something, and you make another one for the header, which one is going to be on the header? Since it's, you know, which one's going to actually render?
It's a great question. Why don't we find out? Let's see. Can I open this in Chrome? Not from there. Whoa, come on, buddy. Come on. Alright, let's see if I can get this on the side of the window. It doesn't like it. Okay. So, we have this. This is what the page looks like, right? I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. I want to try to... Nice. Cool. Now let me open that page again, see if we can't... Actually, we can use the DevTools. I don't even know what I'm doing. Alright, so we'll open up the DevTools. So we have this body. And in this body, we have a font size, right, of 18 pixels. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change that to something huge. 36. Okay? So note the changes. They're right there in the middle of the body, right? Header doesn't have a defined font size. It didn't do much, but that's probably because there's nothing in the header. At least no... Oh, there's an H1. But the H1 has its own font size. So, okay, the H1 has its own font size of 28 pixels.
So that just shows what...
Does that answer your question?
So basically it's just ignoring the body font size that you made, it's just going with the header then?
You're getting into something that's pretty important, but yes, you're correct. So, what CSS does when it applies styles is it picks the... There's two layers to it. if you have no scoring involved, so there's this like CSS scoring metric that basically says if you have this applied and this applied, it's going to override styles. But if you have no scores, say you just have your elements, so you have an A tag or an H1, and then in the H1's inside a header, header's inside the body, right? What it's going to do is say, does the H1 have a font size? If it does, take that. If not, does the header? Take that. If not, take the body, right? So it goes up the parent chain to the furthest ancestor, closest ancestor to furthest, right? And so the most important style in that series is from the H1 tag and going up in order of precedence, right? However, what's confusing about CSS and sucks is there's different scoring based off the different attributes. So if you give something an ID, the styles applied to the ID overwrite the styles of the element. So that's how you can overwrite them, because they have a higher score. So there's like some weighted algorithm for it. I forget exactly what it is. We'll look at it when we get there. But that's a really great question because it leads into something deeper in CSS. So is that good enough explanation for you, or do you want more? Cool. Anyway, any questions about this more the kind of the starter setup where we have one style sheet, one HTML page? Any questions on this? All right. So immediately you can notice something about this second file, or second folder, and that is there's two CSS files. Style sheet, or style.css and style2.css. So if we're going to look at these again, rel style sheet, right? So it's related to style sheet or something. The type text CSS, so we know it's a CSS file. And then href, the relative directory of it is this one because there's nothing in front of it, right? There's no folder or anything. And so we know it's going to look, the HTML page is intrinsically going to look in the same directory as itself, which you can see they're both there, style1 and style2, right? But we have two sets of styles, which is interesting. And they have seemingly different things in them, right? This one has body, header, H1. This one is H2, A. So they don't have the same styles. What do you think this does? What does this do to the HTML page? Anyone have an idea? Anyone?
Should apply the same the styles to the different pages, to the different areas based on each page.
Which one?
Whatever, if the H1, if the header is H1, and whichever style page H1 is in, it's going to apply that style.
So it's going to take the styles from both pages and apply them?
Should.
Yep, it does. That's exactly right. But this gets into another concept with CSS that also sucks, as we'll find.
CSS sucks. Why isn't there something better yet?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Well, there is JavaScript, there's .NET, various other
Got a final project for us, guys.
Okay.
Get into it.
So CSS sucks. I guess that's a deeper question to answer. It's really not all that bad, and it's actually can be pretty elegant at times, but it sucks, and you know it sucks because there's so many preprocessors is what they're called that people use instead of raw CSS. So there's things missing from CSS that can make it better. They make it more reusable and more composable. And you'll see those later when we use less and Sass and stuff. But I think that's the answer, is people just built stuff on top that turns into CSS, and they're like, this is good enough. So I have style2 and style CSS. Both of them have a body declaration. And one of them has a crazy margin. I did not want that. Jeez. And one of them has, you know, a totally different background color. One is this nice, fresh off-white, and one has this really dark black. Okay? That's just going to drown out all the text. What is the background color of this HTML page going to be? Let me close this. Whoop. Is it going to be off-white or is it going to be black? Say black? Why? You think it's going to be black? You think it's going to be white?
Well, yeah, I didn't see what
So style 1, the first file is white.
Okay, they want to
You think it's going to be white? So anyone who thinks it's going to be black, why do you think it's going to be black?
Because the second file is it's the second one to be read, so based on the order of reading the basic tags, it's going to first change it white because of the first style guy, but then when it comes to the new body element in the second file, it's going to, oh, you want me to make it black? Okay.
So that is correct. Yeah, it is going to be black. Do you know why? Why exactly that is? You kind of hit on it.
It's a hierarchy thing.
It's a hierarchy?
The way the browser reads.
It's the way the browser reads the HTML.
So it'll read that line first, and then it'll read the second one.
So you said it. You're right. It turns it white, then it turns it black. But the reason why is HTML, when it parses, your browser when it parses as HTML is because it brings it in line by line. Boop, 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 boop. So it doesn't really matter what you do. The last one is the one that matters, really. Unless you have a bunch of crazy, like, overwrites and stuff in your first one, which don't do that. So if we just open this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open the containing folder, and I want to open with Google Chrome. It's black. So this is how we get into the concept that we're going over right now, which is going to be CSS resets. So in this case, we have 3 style sheets, and now we obviously know how that's going to work, right? So we can look at number 1, has a bunch of good stuff. Number 2 has a little bit more stuff. And number 3 has some more, but they're all different. And that's all well and good. You know, you can do as many, we could do a different style file, like a CSS file for every style we have. If you wanted to be that guy, right? That everyone was like, oh, come on. You could do it. Yeah, you could totally do it. Or you could not and be a little bit more, you know, friendly. But the concept we're getting into is the idea of CSS resets. And they're pretty cool because what they allow you to do is basically define a CSS file first that just sets all of these styles to something like a blank canvas, right? It's like these are the baseline for all styles. So anything weird that could be happening is just ruined. And the idea behind that is browsers all render things differently. And basically we want to just make it an even playing field from the get-go. So we can tell the browser, go ahead and just like set them everything we're going to run into to this baseline, and then we can edit it from there. It makes it really nice. So if we Google CSS reset, you'll actually get a mayorweb.com Eric Tool CSS reset. This page comes up. It actually gives you this crazy CSS file. And I'll slack this link out so you don't got to Google it if you don't want to. You actually get this crazy CSS file, which is effectively a CSS reset, and it sets a bunch of stuff: margin 0, padding 0, border 0. It just sets a bunch of stuff for you to kind of a baseline status, so that you don't have to worry about weird specificities or like other things that come in through other CSS or just weird browser differences, right? It kind of takes care of those. So this is an important thing to know about these CSS resets, and we're going to be using them in the next exercises. But then we're going to use them a little bit more later. So, open the file. Example HTML. Where the hell is example? I'm missing something here. The instructions are telling me to do something. I don't know what it is. Whatever. Not that important. So, we're going to go ahead and with this CSS reset in mind, I'm going to go ahead and copy it actually, and I'm going to put it into these examples. So you can see if I do the copy of this file, it just gives me the raw text, which is all I need. I can go on in here, and I can go new file, reset.css. I can just boop, paste this. Whoops. I hit one hotkey too many. Alright. So where in the order of things should we put the reset, you think? First? Yeah, probably. I can't type today. I'm just going to do myself a favor. Copy that one. It's all the same. And go ahead and reset CSS. Now we wouldn't be able to see anything from this, but having this first is just a nicety. It's gonna do you some serious favors down the line, just by setting everything to that baseline, right? So what we're gonna do in your activities in your GitLab, there is activity number 4 for week 2. It's called Reset CSS. Go in there, find the instructions, follow the instructions in the HTML document to incorporate a Reset CSS file. Note the impact the Reset CSS makes after its inclusion. So open the HTML file in your browser first, add the CSS reset, see what it does, and then make sure you use that CSS reset that I linked to you in Slack. Okay? And then a bonus, if you finish that and you kind of see what happens, you experiment with it a bit, incorporate that reset into one of your projects and see what it does to change it.
Yeah, yeah. Which one's in there?
So on GitLab, here, I'll go to it on GitLab and I'll send you So if you were to go on GitLab, here would be the direct link. Put in Slack to the activity. You're going to do 04 reset CSS. Remember to use your Ninja terminal skills to get to where you need to go. LS, PWD, CD, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's like that whole says example on HTML. We already know.
Yeah, we all cloned it. So if you have it cloned, if you don't have it cloned, we can help you if you want help. You got it?
So I just wanted to make sure I was in the way.
You got it. You're good.
Wait. You're on week 1 now. Yeah, week 1 you have to refresh, but it's not showing it. Real quick, for the link rel style sheet, is that where you would put Java into? It'd be like something Java instead.
How would I open that?
No. You would think so, right?
Yeah, I know.
But no, it doesn't. There's actually another tag called the script tag that you use for JavaScript. Yeah. So we'll get to that. Yeah, it is. The link tag's used for random things, but mainly style CSS.
So here's what I do. So I got on my desktop, I save that folder right here. So it is
Did you clone the repository?
Yeah, yeah, I have the repo.
Why don't you have it?
Just open.
Maybe you need to update it through the console. There you go. Go to that directory.
Where you can close it to?
Yeah, it's in the
Should read the reset.
So you could start from the terminal too. You can try it. Do.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused here too.
Are they all supposed to be GitLab?
Here, we talked about doing the activity together, so why don't we kind of go over this together?
Yeah. So let's do that.
Yeah, you might have just.
individual ones.
You have to come in and take it, and you don't have to, I would just delete.
What was that?
it.
Yeah, it's irritating. All right, so I copied the example page, right? This is the exact thing that you all should have, right? Those others. Let me just open the containing folder real quick, and I will go ahead and open that with Chrome. So I want to take a look at this. All right, so this is like the default file we got, okay? This is header 1, header 2, so on and so forth, all fun. So let's go ahead, go back to Slack. I'm going to open up that file that had the CSS reset. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. I'll go back to VS Code. I'm going to add my reset.css, paste it on in there, and then right in here, I can get rid of the comments. Let's go ahead and open that bad boy again. I'll just go ahead and refresh. Boop. Totally different, right? Wildly different. This is because that reset is getting rid of a bunch of like boilerplate crap that you get with HTML out of the box, like style, list styles, right? Where you have the bullets going down the list. Does anyone really have bulleted lists on their HTML page anymore? It's not like 1995, so no. So it gets rid of that stuff, right? And some of the like weird styling changes you get from different tags. So if we go ahead and look at the different tags, you have an H1, a P, an H2. Now we already know that H1 and H2 how are they different, right? How are those two different? Bigger and bolder, right? So an H1 is what than an H2? H1 is bigger than an H2, exactly. And you'll notice I have all of those things and I have all that fun stuff, but if I go and I open this up, you can't tell which one's which anymore, right? So it's clearing those styles. It's just like, again, it's just a baseline for you now. This reset CSS just takes care of everything, and it is a godsend, really it is. It didn't work for you? Did you uncomment the link? Don't forget to save everything and then like refresh. What's the practicality of this? Okay, so that's a great question. What is the practicality of this? Well, it makes it easier to style everything if you know everything's going to share like these base properties, right? So if I already know my H1, H2, H3, all those are the same size, I can manually kind of do stuff from there, give it my own spin, okay? So instead of having to worry about what size will an H1 be in terms of font, do you know what size an H1 is in relative font size? Neither do I. So if you want to be able to set those up yourself, it's much easier to just clear the baseline and then kind of go from there. So now we did that together, right? We went through it. We look at how this page is set up. We saw how it changed it. We created the reset CSS file. I want you to do this on one of your projects. Just really quick, a couple minutes. Open one, paste the reset CSS, add that link in there, and do it. You got to do something, okay? We can walk through some of it together, but I want you to do something on your own to get a feel for these things. And we'll use like 2 more minutes for this, and then we're going to go ahead and go on to the next thing because I'm way behind on time. So. What's up? Yeah, you have to create the file yourself, but copy the content from that page I linked in Slack. So I linked to the page, and the page has another link to get to a raw CSS, and then you can find it, and you can literally Control-A, Control-C. So right here, I'm going to link you directly to the raw CSS. That link I just put out is literally the raw CSS. You open that page, Control A, Control C, you've got this reset. You just need to store it in a file.
Yeah, I did that. Everything on there was copied and pasted.
Looks good? Awesome. Fantastic.
You should do this with everything you ever designed.
Right now, yeah. While you're first starting out, it's a really good thing to do.
The first one and everything else will be really good.
Absolutely.
And it does work. It like serves out my style sheet.
Whoa, what is that? That does not look like what I got. Okay. Do you have another CSS file? That is so weird. This is like a giant hyperlink.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. No, that worked. But I was trying to figure out how to open the file
That's
itself.
fun. Oh, that's awesome.
It's a giant
hyperlink.
I don't know why this is
All right. So we've got to move on. Resets and CSS and multiple style sheets. Vista 5, how we feeling? Getting there, getting there, getting there. We're making some progress. Some progress, okay. Do you have any specific questions, Andy?
Just found the repo just now.
Okay. Well, we can sit down after class and we can go through it together again to give you a little bit more, like, another step through it. If we're ever going too fast like that and like you get stuck behind, just let us know and we'll wait so you can get caught up. I don't want anyone to be left behind, because it's gonna happen every now and then. You'll, get a text or whatever, and then it's like, oh crap, they're like way ahead and I have no idea where they're at. So feel free to interrupt me and just say, hey, I figured exactly where we're at, and I'll go, boom, we'll get you caught up. We'll take care of it. Okay, so we're gonna kind of shift gears. Hosting a website. Has anyone ever hosted a website before? Themselves? Like, put one up on a web server, right? Okay, what'd you do?
I have my server at home and
Okay.
used Apache, but I also use GitHub to host it there.
Use GitHub to host it? How so?
Well, I just uploaded all my files to the repo and then attached it to the domain.
I see. It's good, because that's what we're about to do. Anyone else deploy? Yeah, you deployed one?
My brother-in-law had the server in Japan, so I uploaded a bunch of pictures of my daughter on the webpage that I generated with the old program.
Cool.
Uploaded it onto
But you've done it. So, like, that's awesome. So some of us have a little bit of experience doing it. For those of you who've done it, what's a host? What's the host?
server that's
Server?
web page, it's gotta have a web server on it.
I'd like to think of it
That-
as like basically you're buying property and your website basically your house. Without it, you can't put a website.
That's a good analogy. So you have some property. The host is like the property that your
They're
website's
property
on.
manager, they own the domain.
Right. And the website is like the house you would live in for that particular domain. And the domain is your address. Right? That's a good analogy. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, your host is your server. And your domain is a random address you get. And it's not the true address. It's just like, it's a nice, I don't know, alias. Right? Your true address is what? Your IP address, right? That's like your street address, right? And then your website just happens to be your house and you'll host it at some IP. Technically, some IP and a port. You could be like, the port is like the suite number, right? So, or your apartment number, if you really want to get super granular with it. But anyway, you got to have a host. That's the point. You got to have a server to host these files on. And GitHub actually has a really cool thing called GitHub Pages that allows you to take some raw HTML and CSS and JavaScript to what say you and just host it for free. It's pretty rad. So we're going to go ahead and walk through that process. And it's pretty easy. Feel free to follow along. If you don't want to follow along, you'll have to do something similar to this very soon. But anyway, I open up GitHub, github.com. Right? Starting fresh. And on the home page, you should see something that says new repositories, or you can go ahead and go to your profile and find new repositories, right? Go to new. So my username is CJ Howard92, Okay? So I don't know what all your usernames are, but whatever it is, you're going to want to use it. That's the first thing you do. You can already see what I've got in there because I've done this already. The next thing you do after username is .github.io. That's the name of your repository. Description, do whatever you want. Public, I'm going to leave this public. Don't need a readme, don't need a git ignore license. We'll worry about those things later, right? And then create your repo.
Does it say .github.io?
.git. GitHub.io.git. You don't got to type .git in the repo name. But it says that afterwards. You can see here.
So that's no.
After.
No. Okay, that's auto-populated.
Yep, that's auto-populated.
Like zoom that in and make it move.
So we make it public.
Yeah, I kept mine public. So this is like the main page here, right? And then you can see it's got the SSH link. You can change it to HTTPS, whatever one you're using, SSH, HTTPS, but pick one that works. So if you're not confident that your SSH is working right now, just do HTTPS. We'll get the SSH working later, right? Because you can always switch later. But I'm going to use SSH. Click this little button. I'm going to go ahead and take the link. I'm going to open up my terminal, right? I'll just open a new tab here. I've got an alias that takes me to this drive. And on here, let me just RF. I'm going to delete my example that I already did. I'm going to go ahead and git clone, right? So git clone with that link we just copied, it's going to be your username.github.io.git. Every repo has a .git extension. That's just how it works with the remotes. It's how it works with GitHub, GitLab, any real Git remote has a .git at the end. You do not need to put that in the repo name. As a matter of fact, if you do, your repo will be .git.git. So that'd be pretty weird. You don't really want to do that. So don't worry about adding it yourself, and you don't actually need to do it when you clone. You don't need to have the .git. GitHub's smart enough to figure that out, but to be safe. So go ahead and clone it. You appear to have cloned an empty repo. We know that. So I'm going to go ahead and cd into it, right? So now we're in that repo. I can go ahead and do everything I would normally do. Git status. Just says no commits yet. You haven't done anything, and we know that. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and open VS Code. Now, if anyone gets left behind or they want me to slow down, by all means, let me know. And I'm going to use the integrated terminal inside of VS Code from this point on. So, if you're using VS Code, I would recommend you do that too. If you're not using VS Code, do whatever you're doing. What's up?
How do you open a terminal?
If you're on Windows, it's Control tick. So the tilde, Control tilde. If you're on Mac, it might be Command tilde. Or you can do Control Shift P or Command Shift P. And you can type open terminal and open new terminal, right? Yeah, what's up?
Yours just automatically make the files in there?
Oh, no. I did this earlier. So, just imagine that these don't exist.
Alright, I'll remake them. I just thought that there was a way that you did it automatically.
No, there's some way you can do snippets, and I'll use those. But I did this yesterday to like just make sure I got the process right, and VS Code is remembering that because it's smarter than I am. So, first things first, we just want an index.html. Okay. Now, how many of you are using VS Code, by the way? Almost everybody. Almost everyone? Okay, so this is a VS Code thing. If you're not using it, sorry. If you do Control-Shift-X or Command-Shift-X, you'll get this search extensions. Search for HTML snippets. And you can see there's one, HTML snippets. Install it.
What was it? To get the search thing?
Control-Shift-X. Or Command-Shift-X for you.
Which one go again?
Control tick. It might be Command tick on the Command tilde on the Mac, is it? Okay.
Where the folders are, and it'll say open in command prompt.
Yeah, you can do that too. There'll be a hotkey for it. So, everyone got the HTML snippets installed? We good? anyone not want me to move on? Because I'm going to move on right now. Okay. Speak or forever hold your peace. Okay, so our index HTML, Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P opens up the, it's like a command finder, basically, in VS Code. And I'm going to type in snippet. It's going to say insert snippet. This is an HTML file, so there's just going to be HTML. Click it, boom. HTML page made for me. It even inserted a link for a JavaScript and a CSS file. What's up, Peyton?
No, I just noticed that if you just put an exclamation mark, it can do sort of something like that.
So if I were to just come in here and do an exclamation mark and then like hit tab or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the links though.
Whoops.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, nice.
Okay, so there's
Okay.
got less stuff in there. So
Yeah, so
It autofilled what you need to start.
it did.
That's pretty awesome.
So almost every language has this, by the way. So as we start doing JavaScript, these are cool.
That's the likes. That's nice.
So I can change the title. Right now, I'm just going to delete this script tag. We don't need it. We're not doing that yet. But there's a main CSS, which doesn't exist yet, but we're going to go ahead and add it. I want you to add main CSS. Keep it empty. And I want you to add reset CSS while you're doing this too. The reset CSS. So it's in the Slack. It's the latest link in the Slack to the raw content. You can just open it in a new tab, open it up, Control A, Control C, boom. I go in here. I'll make my reset.css, paste it in. We got a reset. I'm back in here. Let's see if I can remember to do this. Nope. Does anyone remember how to do the copy thing where you like highlight a line and
Control C. After you copy the line, highlight the whole line. On Linux, it would be Control C.
Control Shift down?
you control shift arrow is one word at a time. And then just shift arrow is
I don't
one letter.
I don't know what it is on Linux.
Oh, you want it for Linux, the whole line?
Yeah, you can do like in VS Code, you can do a whole line where it just copies the line and brings it down. Anyway, don't need it. I can go ahead and do reset. CSS is the first one, and then main CSS. In my main CSS, just give it a style. Just do something. It doesn't matter what you guys do. Just pick something. Red. Color green. Give it some really ugly colors. This. And then I went ahead and in my body tag I added a P tag and I said, hello, this is Carson. So after you got your reset, after you have some sort of a style to, you know, add some flair to this cool thing, let me know when you're good.
Go back to the main real quick.
You want to see the main CSS? Thumbs up when you're good. Thumbs up, people. We're getting there. Cool. So if you've already gave me thumbs up, you can put your hand down.
Alt shift and then down is how you copy.
Alt shift down. Let me go try that. I think it's Linux. I know that it works on Windows, but Linux is different commands. So that's probably some other command that they're overriding.
I definitely did not work.
Okay. How are we all feeling right now? Anyone who's not ready to move on?
I'm so far behind, I can't even like, I can't even.
You want to come help him, Nikki? Nikki or Stephanie? One of you?
Try options. Oh, you don't have an option.
Nope, I don't have an option. I have super.
And you just put random CSS.
Yeah, I just put random CSS in main. You don't gotta do anything fancy, just whatever, right?
I always have a hard time getting into GitLab and get them, so I'm not even, I don't even know how to
That's okay.
So like,
You help him. We're gonna move on a little bit, Stephanie, but help him out, will you? Okay, so for those of you that are ready, does everyone have their integrated terminal open up? So we got the terminal up. Let's type git status in there. Oh, it didn't like that, did it? It does not like this repo at all. What is going on? Okay, for some reason the integrated terminal is not jiving with my Git. I don't know why. It just isn't. But anyway.
Because as you saw when you opened it up before, it had the old files in there, so for some reason VS Code is still trying to look at that old repo that you deleted.
It's doing something, man. It's not cool. Okay, so if you do git status, you'll see the untracked files. You should see your index reset in your main. What's the command to stage these, to add these? Git. We did git add period. We're going to go ahead and do git status again. Now they're green. It tells us that they're new files. They're tracked. What's the next step? Git commit dash m with, in quotes, my message, in this case, initial commit. Boom. Take your time. We did git status, git add, dot, git status, git commit. All right. We're already attached to our remote, right? So you can see in my terminal it says master in parentheses. That's because we're on the master branch. If I want to know if I'm connected to the remote, I cloned, so I know that already, right? But if you don't know, if you don't remember, go ahead and type git remote -v, and you'll get this list. Should say origin. You're either your HTTPS or your SSH. And then it'll say fetch, and there'll be another one that says push. That's good. That link right in the middle between the fetch and the origin and the push in the origin, that is where your repo is. So if you're not sure if it's on GitLab or GitHub or wherever, they'll tell you exactly where it's at, okay? So that's another good one to know. So we know we're connected to our remotes. What's next? Git push what? Git push origin master. So, another neat trick. The first time you push to a branch, if I'm on my branch master and I want to push to origin master, and I always want to push my master to origin master, the first time I do git push, if I do -u origin master, it remembers your upstream and it will always push to origin master. So then you just got to do git push after that. So git push -u origin master. We're pushed to our remote. We're all good? Everyone's good so far? Let's go ahead and open it on GitHub. When you're on GitHub now, if you refresh, you should see a bunch of stuff. Right? You should see your stuff uploaded. It's pretty good. I want everyone to go to their username.github.io in the browser. I know mine's really ugly. Ugly is sin, but hopefully yours won't be, or could be. What does it say?
It's just blank. You got a 404.
I can't change this CSS. I'll look at yours in a sec. So, right now, really quick, just to recap, what is our host? Who is our host? GitHub is our host. What is our domain?
CJ Howard 92.
Username.github.io. if you want to be technical, our domain is github.io and we're a subdomain, but that's an aside. Cool. So for those of you who something went wrong, we'll spend a couple minutes looking at that. For those of you who did this successfully and want to try something else, another thing you can do is you can create a any random repository, and you can link to it from here by simply typing the repo name. You should be able to link from it. So I want you to Google how you can do this. Try to figure out how to do it. But if I can go to my GitHub and I can find some of my other repos. I have this one, TA project download. I think once it has an index.html in it, you can simply you'll be able to link to it like that, and you can do like .html or .index.html or something like that. I have the instructions in here, but I'm going to help some other people really quick. So try to figure it out on your own. Yeah, so when you create a new repository, call it whatever you want, put an index.html in it, and from your GitHub IO, after it's been deployed, you'll be able to do repo name, actually, just a repo name. However, there's one extra step. So this one deployed automatically because it's called cjhoward92.github.io, right? But if I go to my settings, and this will be on any repo, you'll see GitHub pages. And for any other repo that's not your github.io repo, you'll have to manually deploy it. So create a new repo, call it whatever you want, I don't care, put an index.html in it, and go try to deploy it, and figure out how to get to it. That's your next task. And then, if anyone gets that, amazing, we'll go through it in just a moment together. And that's going to be the next thing we're doing.
I don't know.
Put some text in your body.
I would navigate away from your clean directory. So do
Save that.
It's stupid because it only shows up right here. You cannot find it.
And that's will save.
do CD and then
That's not safe.
space and start typing it out. If you hit tab, it'll autocomplete for you.
So go ahead and push this up to the GitHub repo.
Did you commit first?
Nope.
So wherever you want to save your
Nope.
repository.
Get out.
You can do that.
Well, it's already in there.
But how do we check if there's something that's changed?
Status?
Yep.
And then you can even just do it right in this
Those will change.
folder.
Alright, so now we do.
So just do git clone.
Did you commit? Get out?
Yep.
We will get
And
this.
then, sorry, do
Dash
git clone
M?
space and
Nope.
then dot space.
Dot means everything.
Dot. Just get add space.
Add.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I want you to run status again.
So enter whatever your
It's
SSH
gonna be
password
great.
is.
Okay, now let's get commit.
Yeah, you got me.
Get commit dash. Now it's
Fine that we clone the
right?
network.
And then index.
Now, if you hit ls,
Is there a way to make it do that for you?
so now you
So
can
with
see
the
Is
commit
I feel like
message,
you're just typing the commit all the time.
the commit message, we don't typically put like the name of the files we changed. We put a reasonable description of what you did. So a better message would be
and then if you
edited
put
the index.html web content or something.
Oh,
right?
okay.
space.
So get commit dash M. Oh, okay. Alright. So
So you
then
can-
let's say, okay, I hit something like that. Alright, one file change, then get push.
So if you go to your VS Code,
Alright.
So it should change. Now let's go ahead and look at your GitHub IO.
Huge problems because
Well, it did showed up last time, but oh, there's stuff. It's in here.
Go to your username at github.io browser.
figure out this. See, this is what I'm trying to get
In the
into my files and try to find the stuff. This is what it will pop up as the name because that's where all of this stuff is.
so is there something wrong with the code, or I don't know.
Yeah, so as long as everything has to find out. I know that stuff is in the course, but there are times where.
Are you sure? Because when we did it from your terminal, we went into a folder called View of A from the repository.
Yeah, but that just had some weird things just sitting in there.
Background running your main season?
Yeah.
Snippet stuff?
Oh yeah, just snip it. There you go. Just check out.
View of A.
I'm wondering if it's taking a while to.
And you can either click open.
Trying to make one.
Yeah,
Get
so
that
then
after
you just.
class.
Look, it actually is working.
Okay, so from here,
Snippet?
now you just need to create
Command Shift P.
inside this
Oh, wait,
repo
no.
HTML file.
There you go. There you go. It's the same thing. So I have to make two
Yep. 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 Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and move on really quick. Did anyone get the next step done? Did they make a new repo and link to it? Yeah, you did. You want to send us the link? That's fine. Send us the link on Slack so we can all look at it.
And this is where you can either try and use that snippet thing or
What's up?
just do exclamation point
The my page, this one?
Heck of a job.
So Rolando got his homework up.
Nice.
Now he beat us to the punch because you're gonna have to do this for your homework. So he's ahead of the game. It's not a bad idea to do it.
just so that you get
So this is awesome.
now if you come back to your terminal,
So I'll show you guys how to do that really quick for those of you that are ready.
in that repo, right? Yeah.
And I know not everyone will be, but we can talk after class.
Get
I'm gonna create a new repo. I'm gonna go a little faster on this.
Another
Yep. Repositories. New. Test. We call it test page.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
you quote and
So
then.
you can actually instead of like typing something in the arrow, so do space. And then quotations.
So I'm gonna create test page.
Basically, right there you can put whatever it is that you changed or updated.
Oh my gosh, cap blocks. CD test page. Again, we're gonna go ahead and open this with VS Code. Index.html. I'm gonna do snippet. Test page. I'm just gonna add some content. Nothing serious. This is a test. Boom, easy peasy. Back to my terminal. Get status. Always want to check. Get a dot. Get status again. Want to check. Okay, it's added. Add the initial commit. Get push dot dash u origin master. Okay, this bad boy's up there now too. CJ over 92. Oh. So test page now, if I go look, it's up. If I go to settings, scroll all the way down here. The source is currently disabled, but I can tell to use the master branch. I can save it. And it takes a little while sometimes for it to publish. It might also need... Really interesting. Unless I manually go to the index.html. For some reason that's working right now. Probably a DNS resolution thing. So there you go. So that one had a couple different steps. So it was similar to the GitHub IO in that I needed an index.html. You need that index HTML. You absolutely need it, right? And I had all those same things. I could put styles. I could do all that fun stuff. Push it up to GitHub. We're there. We're good. But I had to go into the settings, and I had to tell it to use my master branch and save. And then what it does is it says, well, I'm going to deploy this stuff for you. Let's see. Let's test Nikki's theory. So this is site not found. So you have to manually go to the index HTML page. But once you do that, it's good. And so that means for my GitHub IO, I could link to this, couldn't I? I could link to this like a normal HTML. Let me open up my GitHub IO page again. I'm going to go ahead and change that background because it is hideous. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of it. Right? It is just horribly, that red is just so ugly. I hate it. I can do A, right? GitHub. You can actually just do, test page / index.html. Should work. Visit my test page. Since it doesn't like in my GitHub IO, go to CJ Howard Git. We'll always do our Git status. Do our Git add dot. Git status again, 2 modified files. That's what we wanted. Modified content. And we do a nice message saying what we did, modified the content and styles. We'll go ahead and push it. That's a good question. We'll get to it in a moment. So we push it up. We'll go back to the browser. Let's just go to CJ Howard 92 GitHub IO. Hasn't deployed yet. Give it time.
So earlier you said you had to add the .index.html.
You do for for the stuff that isn't your main page till the DNS resolution goes through. So DNS resolution might, like, it's cached right here. So if I F12, if I hard reload, and then I can go here, and voila, I've linked to it. Let's see if this works now. There, see, now it works. So what happens is, why I have to go to the index HTML at first is because when you deploy these pages, it's not instant. GitHub can't instantly deploy your GitHub IO to everywhere in the world at once, right? So what's happening is, it takes your code, it pushes it to certain places right away. Like right away, you can get directly to it. But if you want this to take place, where I can go to GitHub IO /test page and not reference my index HTML, I need to wait for the DNS servers to propagate all the way through the world, right? And so there's something called DNS resolution, where I can say my DNS address, CJHoward92 GitHub IO /test page, is always going to return that test page index HTML. Once that's all through the world and all the servers know it, then you can go ahead and go here and it's good to go and it's fine. But until that point, it has no idea what's going on. So you have to wait 5-10 minutes sometimes, but it's fine. And the more content you have, the longer it takes. Sometimes. I think it depends on traffic too. But anyway, questions on this process?
How did you link it on the main page since there are different repositories?
How do I look at the...
How did you create the link on the...
I see. So, that's taking advantage of DNS names. So the question was, how did I link to that test page on my GitHub IO, my regular one? Well, because I know I can always get to /repository name /index HTML, right? I can make that link intrinsically in this HTML file. So the DNS resolution is taking care of it all for me. So that href, remember, if I were at home.com and I clicked on this href right here, I'd be at home.com /test page /index HTML. Because I'm at cjhoward92.github.io, and I click this link, I'm going to cjhoward92.github.io/testpage/index.html, right? So it's like taking advantage of the fact that GitHub's doing all this work for me and letting the links work. And you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do this for your homework. You'll have like a portfolio you have to set up, and you're going to have to use this kind of a method to get to your different homeworks. So the way Rolando linked us to his homework with the basic profile is exactly what you're all going to have to do very soon. Any questions on this? If you have not linked your main repo, your username.github.io, to your homework or to another repo, do it now. That's what we're going to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes on. I want you to do that. Make a page that does anything. I don't care. Make it your favorite animal, your favorite pizza, favorite movie. It doesn't matter, but make something creative and add something new. So you've already linked your homework, Rolando. Make a new page. Yeah, Trevor?
I'm a little lost. I think I created my repo, but I'm not sure where. I'm missing something.
Okay. What, did you get your username.github.io up?
So it's on GitHub.
It's on GitHub, but it's not, you can't go to the domain yet. So Nikki's going to sit with you. I'm going to sit with Andy. And who else needs help? Some other people? Okay, we're going to come around.
I'm not sure it was around.
Everyone good on the instructions right now? That does need help? So I want you to make a new repo, and I want you to link to that repo from your main username.github.io, right? So you got to deploy that second one to GitHub Pages as well. And I want it to be a new site with new content. Cool? So where are we at? What do you have for index HTML?
There's nothing.
Okay.
I set up a framework. That's how she did this.
Okay. So let's add some content to your body. Just add like basic text. So let's get this up first, and then move on. So go ahead and push this to GitHub.
So I'm already in that repository. So do I need to just git push?
Can you get push yet?
Or if you want to do, get add dot, you can add all of them. Now do git commit.
Changes what it says everything's up to date because you have to add new commit first.
Oh, okay.
When you push, you only push new commits. Dot is like everything in this directory,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. Git
Huh?
I'll make
push.
This one is git commit. Don't worry. And that's be dash M, and then in double quotes. Now you can do your git push.
Okay.
Now when you do git push for it.
Cool. So let's go ahead and look at your repo now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
GitHub.
Yep. Basically saying we're pushing this information.
And let's refresh this page and make sure it's all up to date. So let's
Later on,
go ahead and go to hawkeye1.github.io and see what we got.
Yeah, that's always going to be your
Put it in
default
the
branch
browser.
for your
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that went ahead and pushed that HTML file. So now if you go back to your GitHub.
We'll start with hawkeye1, username.github.io. Nice, you did it. So, now what I want you to try to do is add CSS styles, link to them in your HTML, push them up here, make sure they work. Do that,
The
and
first part.
then
So the second part is
the next
you
thing.
want to take something that you already have, either in GitHub or
Okay,
something
who else had questions? Everybody helped in?
pushed everything we're
Get
gonna
that folder, but not in
GitHub Pages.
So that's more than
Have like
obviously.
your homework.
Alright, what's up, man? You go by Alex, Alex,
So main index, main
The nice thing about GitHub is like it's really great for version control.
No, not in
Yeah,
Word.
is there a
This is
reason?
actually a good.
I think it's copying and like formatting, so it's not looking much. So try and copy it again.
Yeah, find whatever
Yeah,
organization.
leave that repo, okay? So go back to your home folder or something, and reform, okay?
Awesome, thank you.
That might be,
Does that make sense?
I mean, your repo is there, it's gonna be changing in that.
Yeah, put it in a new directory, but don't put it in that Git repo.
So we want
So whatever your repo in, whatever repo you're in now,
keep
don't
all
put it
these
in.
files down, we want them into a GitHub repository.
You know how to tell if you're in a Git repo? You type git status,
So
and get
first thing
something
you need to
other
get
than this is not a Git repo, you're in a Git repo.
You can do that from GitHub, or you can do it from GitHub.
So you need to see it all the way out. And you tell them git status of the doing it.
Well, you would, since we haven't.
So right now, that filter, that's probably where you want to go. So if we do cg,
I don't remember how to create a repo through the command line, so we
like,
have to.
you can make a directory from here, or you can clone your
you can do
repo
it
to
here,
here,
Google it.
and it'll clone it to a directory, and we can do it.
So go to your main platform. Yeah. Go out to your stuff. Yeah. So now we're gonna
Copy that one. Now work from there. See if you can get it.
whatever your homework is.
Sure.
So,
No
the
problem.
person is, I did is just testing for how fast we get. This is what I created.
Okay.
And then there's
Yeah,
here, so it's
no
there.
spaces,
And
yeah.
like I created a two files that are in there.
Okay.
Technically,
So everything's here. Pretty sure that they're saved. Or saved. And the terminal that I'm on. So in there now. I don't know how to I'm associating. I know I cloned it, but I put it into an empty repository.
Okay.
So like, how do I get these files into this for me?
yeah, if you don't want it, you can go to it. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're going to.
First off, I mean, how much are we to change that if you are in you are how do you get it? Just get status. Right? So,
Otherwise, it's gonna be put in.
as much. So,
So this says you have 2 new files that were already added, and they're good to go. So what, after you've done an add, yep, after you've done an add, what do you do next?
Yeah.
commit, right? Okay, so so like if this is just commit.
You hit catch M, and then you
And then
go.
the steps like it's like first commit, right? So like just first commit.
Yeah.
So I did that. So I didn't feel like when you're looking at it.
So what did you get? What did you get? Did you get like a screen?
No, yeah, just like the full screen that like then let me back out of it. I
Yep,
think
yep,
that's
that's what you go into. I'll bring it up.
Alright, cool. But now, so that's, so commit, okay, so you have two files to the repository, and then what is commit? What is that? So, like, adding it to the repository.
Let's talk about that in a second. I want to do something last.
Okay.
You both brought up a lot of good stuff, so let's go ahead and do Git questions.
So I could get space and add period here. Launch.
That is for me. Right. You're not.
But it's under your Yeah.
Yeah, whenever.
That makes sense.
So
You're gonna use that a lot.
this repository, I have one, like, basically a repository called test, right? And then I have a repository called git
LS, you should have your, what's your,
this other
Worst case scenario, if your attestations person with
Yeah, no, I actually know.
trying to do the Git ad.
You have another question, Jacob?
And then that's it. I mean, only have like to work with this in reverse. Like if I wanted to create like a file and then the code, just like
code that you got to do.
Go ahead and get pulled.
And so I go to nothing. Then if I go to that,
Anyone else have any questions? Can you help? Weird.
Yeah, right. Once you go outside, though, jeez, there's just gonna be like humid and
Right there, hold the refresh button, hold it.
Nope. It'll be gone.
my normal is like EX Grand Bucket. So then, say I made a new repository called then with the link, it would essentially be like this main link right here /
So one thing I will tell you is that GitHub, when you post something to GitHub, when you go to that link, that source link, it's always going to look for this HTML. If your HTML content is not positive, it's not going to So you're going to want HTML, whatever your page or page name is going to have HTML.
I don't know. How long has it been? Look after the class. We'll make sure.
So if you just push.
So now we want to push this stuff to your GitHub repo. So let's navigate into this e-homework
Just do that for somebody, and then once it's in there,
I already had this one.
like you
No, if you have one that's
So if I made my main, this thing was private, then would everything else be private? Like,
Yeah.
like if I did that scrap session, it would run.
So let's get ads.
well, you gotta do it in your.
Oh, wait, let's get
It
ads.
has it.
To the then you
Then that would be basically that,
Right click on the file.
this one, every other repository.
There's a couple of things I want to go over as a class really quick. So technically the last 15 minutes or so, this last 12 minutes before class is over, y'all can work on your homework. That's what it's for. There's a couple of things I want to cover though. I want to cover why we do git add and git commit and git push. And I want to cover what happens if you do git commit without the -m and the weird screen pops up and you can't get out. I also want to have all of you say your names so the people that I didn't actually interact with, I at least have heard your name once. But we'll do that last. So anyway, really quickly, I am in my GitHub IO, okay? So let me just create a new file. I'll call it test.css. I'll just give it a weird style that I'm not even going to use. The point is I want to add a file to this, okay? So, the first thing we need to do, I always do, is the git status, right? What git status does is basically says what has changed in this repository since the last time I made a commit. That's all it does. And there's two forms of files. There's untracked files and there's tracked files. Untracked files are new files. Okay? Files that you've not added to the Git repository yet. You've never done git add with those files, okay? Untracked. Tracked files are anything that you've changed that already existed or anything that you've added. Those are tracked files, okay? So once you do git add, everything that was in there was a tracked file. So when we're doing git add dot, what we're saying is I want to add all of the files. That's what the dot means. It means everything. You can also do -a. That's the old way, which means everything, all, right? Do the same thing. I want to track all of these files. I want to add all of them. What we're adding them to is something called the index. Don't worry about that right now, but that's why it's called add. If I do git status again now, these are tracked, okay? These are changes to be committed. It can tell us it's a new file. It was untracked before. When you do add, it's like, hey, did this file ever exist? Did this content ever exist? No? Okay, it must be a new file. That's why I can tell you in green there that it's a new file. So we've added it. That's all well and good. You need to do this. If you have untracked files or untracked changes or something that's different and you haven't added it to the index, you cannot commit it. So the question is, if we're doing add, why do we got to do commit, right? Well, you can do add all day long, and then you can actually do resets, and you can get rid of work that you've done, right? So you've saved some changes. You're like, I'm good with these, but actually, never mind. Not anymore. I want to get rid of it. You can go ahead and do that. To actually save the code in the Git history for good, you need to do git commit. Sometimes we make a mistake and we don't do -m. We get this fun, terrible screen. Okay? This is, right now for me it is Nano. For most of you on Windows it is Vim. Okay? So mine's slightly different, but I'll tell you what you need to do. So for all of you that have Vim, so all of you Windows users, first thing you have to do is press I. When you press I, you'll then be allowed to type. Okay? So then I could type, this is my commit message. Awesome, you typed I, but now how the hell do you save? Because you can't just like leave, right? So now you press escape, you're back to the original command mode is what it's called, and then you're going to do :X. That's all you need to know. I, type your message, escape, :X. That's it, you're out. You're done. Right? So, I unfortunately don't have that, because I'm using old crappy Nano. But you'll hear about Vim a lot in the developer world, because a lot of people have used it for a long time. So I've committed, I get this fun message. This is my commit message, because that's what I just typed. You watched me do it. It says 1 file changed, 3 insertions. So I added a new file that has 3 lines in it. Right? Makes sense. Tells you a little bit about what's going on. Last thing we have to do is push it. What push does is takes all of those commits that you created since the last time you pushed and sends them to the server so we can save it on GitHub for everyone to use. Okay? And that's how you truly save your work. You have to commit it first, but unless you push it to a remote, in this case GitHub, it's only on your machine. So if your machine explodes in a horrible fire, guess what? You lost all your work. So there's 3 parts to the saving process in Git. One is adding stuff to the index, that git add command, git add dot. The next one is committing it, so you're actually saving it in your local repository. And the last step is pushing it to the remote so that everyone can get those changes, okay? I don't expect anyone to remember this when they leave. Writing down notes is great, so you at least know the commands. But we'll get more familiar with Git as we go through the class. Now, probably the worst thing that I see when I see these cohorts is Git skills when we leave. Very few people have mastered Git when they leave this cohort. Nikki, do you agree with that? Yeah. It's the hardest thing because Git is extraordinarily nebulous. It's a distributed it's a distributed version control system, and it's very complicated because of that. The funny thing is, I work on a Git tool right now that uses Git, and I thought it was really complicated until I started working there and realized what Git does. And if you knew what was actually happening on your machine when you did all these things, you'd be like, wow, that's stupid simple. But, unfortunately, the nature of the architecture of how it works is not simple. What it's actually doing, great, it's trivial, but what it's doing to distribute everything and like make it work in tandem isn't so simple. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but anyway, that's a little bit more in depth as to why we're doing those things. Does it make any more sense for anyone? I know probably not, but you know, we're trying to hammer it, right? So this deployment stuff that we've been doing. Any questions on that? Fist of 5, how are people feeling on it? I know this one's going to be all over the place. We're making progress. Okay, we're making progress. Better than zeros. That's good. That's good. Homework. You have 5 minutes to shoot any questions. I have, to be completely honest with you, no idea what this first homework is. I didn't even look. So Stephanie's probably the girl to ask. Right? So I talk with her. I'll look at the homework to make sure. So Wednesday you guys can ask any questions. And I'll help you with it. I can pull it up right now. So after class is over, I'll help you with it if you need help. But I assume it's just like a basic portfolio or something along those lines, right? So it's probably just an HTML page to start with some basic CSS. So get your feet wet with that stuff, get a little bit more familiar, get it deployed. Saturday it's due no later than 11:59 p.m. I think, right? Is that what it says in Boot Camp Spot? 11:59 p.m. Not midnight. That's a confusing time. 11:59 p.m. Saturday night. So after class, I recommend you just have it done by the time class is over, right? Like that's your best bet because you don't want to be pulling into the wee hours of Saturday. And let's be honest, who's going to spend the Saturday night finishing this? We'd all rather do other things. I would. Any questions? Trevor? What's up?
So, when we submit it, like I think before we were supposed to copy it to...
Yeah, to Google Drive or whatever.
Is it on here now?
It's on GitHub now, yeah.
Okay.
We need a GitHub link, basically.
And what we just did with like our username and GitHub.io, that's where we need to put it, right? Because that's what allows it to become a page.
So I don't think you need to put it on that one yet. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, but I don't think you need to put it on the GitHub.io yet. But what you need to do is push it to GitHub. And then in the following homeworks, you're going to be creating a profile that is then deployed with your GitHub.io. So we just need a link to your repository.
Yeah, that's what the homework says.
That's it.
Once the repository is the first one.
Yeah, so your username / basic profile or whatever, that's what we need to see so we can get to the code. And we can go over it again on Wednesday. Any other questions? Okay, so one last thing I'm going to ask, starting from Michael. We're going to woo. I want everyone to say their name one more time for me, please. I know it's corny and it's like a kindergarten, but I can't remember everyone's name right away. So, Michael.
Oh, yeah, my name is Michael.
Thanks.
Jacob.
Jacob. Alex.
Jay.
Jay. Andy. Jose. Jaime. Heather. Trevor. Jesse. Tony. Justin. Peyton. What was that? Nor. Cool. Rolando. Kyle. Paulo. Garrett. Charlie. Nikki. Noel. Mike. Michael. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. You're free to go. If you want to hang out for office hours, we'll be here till 10. You got it? What was it?
No title.
Oh. Yeah.
You can't see anything if there's no title.
That's true.
You can give it to HRF, but it's not going to display anything if you don't.